some of the Mag 7 names. Meta's going to end up right at the highs. You're going to have Softy. That's Microsoft. Oh. Okay, so we're going to go to Dare for breaking news, but also breaking news. That is the best 3-minute chart at the open that I've seen in Microsoft in a very, very long time. In a very long time. Let's go to Adair. We've got breaking news.
We're here, guys. Not much happening yet here to the stock, but just beware Oracle on watch as we get reports that Democratic Senator Markey is asking Congress, or saying that Congress should be investigating the TikTok joint venture deal. His concern has to do with the lack of disclosure involving the algorithm. He doesn't think there's enough details that have been disclosed. So again, keep an eye here on these comments from Democratic Senator Markey. ORCL, again, not actually doing quite well today, not really reacting to this, but just be aware this TikTok deal could get a congressional investigation. Back to you.
All right. That's enough. We're done. We are now 50 cents in the money on Tesla. Good show. We're back on the midday. We got back into Intel. We're back silver, and we're back Tesla. We'll see you then over to the midday show. Ciao for now.
All right. Bang. Greetings and salutations, beautiful people. Welcome to the midday show. This gentleman right here, he is Obi, the one Kenobi. And I'm Sharif.
Come on, guys.
Let's say hello to everybody. It is Friday. I got a gnarly headache, but we're going to do it, and we're going to do it live, baby. Shout out to Vizbot. We got Jesse. We got Mike PD Rada. Nick Diaz is in the house. Shout out to the Laugh Forge and Gore of DOG. Mr. Puka. We got Ja5304, and we got Content Revolver. Skittles. JJ Under Clover. Shout out to Bovin, my man. Where you been, Bovin? The small caps are treating me well this week. We got Andrew Chow. We got Jacques. We got Jody. Joseph's not here, Jody. Okay. We got Ichiro. We got Star Cheese. Shout out to D. Westermeyer. We got Eliza. Ichiro's in the house. Shout out to J. Van D. Wave. Oscarito joining us as well as Rager Ruel. Sorry, probably butchered that. Mark Susi. HP Motor Cars. We got Max Bet and Gabri Frigo. All right. I see you guys. Durant Gordon. Shout out to Mr. Rookie Man, Trader B, Looney. We got YV7584 and Kobe the Kid. It wouldn't be a morning, unless we were joined by Kobe the Kid. Good morning to Kobe, and good morning to you, brother.
How's everybody doing? It's been a little bit of a rough morning for me, I'd say. Came in hella late. There was a bunch of delays today on the TTC subway.
Not surprised.
All the way from so our TTC kind of like it loops around.
Yep.
From College to Osgood, the bottom end of the loop was closed for an injury on track. And apparently there was apparently there were like a lot of cops around. I don't know. I didn't really see, but. The transit, it didn't really sound like
health.
anything. It was anything good there, but hopefully everyone's safe. What do you call? Came in pretty late.
I understand.
Right at 9:31, I stepped in, and I was just like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna miss Intel."
You're frazzled,
Not the best mindset to start trading on right off of the bat. Let's say that. So I'm just setting it up right here. I did get shut down on the day today, so I will be trading on TMS. We can talk about, we can kind of go through what happened and why everything kind of fell apart for me in the morning session, and just a little, not the right mojo. I think routine is very important for me. And the routine wasn't very solid, and I just aggressively sized on Intel. And held it a little bit against me, and definitely hit my daily stop there. So shut down for the day. Is it okay? No, it's not okay what I did, but definitely going to reflect on it. And really, the process I think is if I'm getting in at 9:30,
right?
And this was part of my process, but it just hasn't happened in such a long time. I totally forgot what the process is when I do come in that late. The process is you do not trade till 10:30.
Very interesting.
So that's I did not follow my rules. So there you go. So like it's happened in the past before where you just go down. It's happened to you multiple times where it's like, okay, let's build some structure because I understand and I realize that if and when that morning routine is affected, the trading is affected because the mindset is affected, and then you have to structure your day in and around that. And I basically broke my rules today. not waiting for at least 30 to 45 minutes if I'm stepping in the office really, really late. So, yeah, exactly. It's, you know, it happens every now and then, but ideally you want to be getting shut down almost never, but a lot less. So today I will be trading in the simulator. So we'll try some different things. We'll take some shots. We'll put in some reps. And we'll try some different things as well. I'm always, whenever I'm hopping in the sim, I'm like, okay, I'm more willing to try things that are maybe not playbook.
Interesting.
And test some stuff out as well.
Not? Take the
also always keeping the right mindset. We talk about, you know, people say they trade differently in the sim than they do in live, but at the end of the day, if your main goal is only to make decisions and you don't care about anything else, then I don't think it really matters where you're making those decisions.
Well, exactly. So, well, I mean, you and I got through this yesterday. We talked about the different mentality when it comes to holding large positions IRL as opposed into the sim. But the process is process. If you don't have an edge in the sim, you're not going to have an edge in IRL. So let's get down to work because there's a whole lot running. Let's start with the biggest, the baddest of them all. It is BNAI. Maybe not the biggest percentage winner on the day. That belongs to THH. But look at BNAI rocket up as we speak. Beautiful 11 o'clock break. It's going to halt 17:02. Look at the madness. I put this one on at like 5 to 10, 10 to 10. It's trading. I'm like, oh, this is a perfect setup at $15, right? Okay, it's at 17:20 now, bro. Chill. All right, so BNAI up 93% and looking to rip the faces off the shorts, and that doesn't displease me at all. So 1720, we go down into 1664. So let's see if this one holds structure. I see support, formerly resistance at 1550. Okay, so if it comes back down, holds this general area, we're going to get involved, but we, you know, typically we don't get those deeper retracements. We'll have to wait and see. BNAI probably needs to reset a little bit here after that monster breakout. All right, so THTH stop is going to stop me out. I didn't even get the chance to put in my stop, my goodness. So let's get out here. Oh, we're going to get caught in a down halt here on THTH unless it allows me out right now. No, it doesn't look like it will. Yeah, so we're going to get caught in a down halt here on THTH. All right, not too bad. Still a starter position, but we'll wait and see if it holds the higher lows. But I really want to focus on BNAI. So let's set up some orders here on BNAI. I want to put some around 1550 to 1575. The reason I say a zone is because we have the 10 EMA on the 5 showing 2/3 of a dollar, but the breakout level to me is as clear as day, and it is 15.5, okay? So we're going to have to set up some orders on that one, but we'll give it a chance to kind of reset and come off the highs a little bit. There's a bunch running. RDW is a holdover from yesterday. Look at the strength of RDW midday there, right at the 9:30 break, and then 9:30 open, excuse me. Then we get the big boy break right at 10:30. That takes us into the highs, and we kind of stair step up the majority of the afternoon. Today, not nearly as big of a day as yesterday, but positive nonetheless, to the tune of 12.5%. Looks like we do have possible areas of support here. I want to say between 13 1/3 to 13 1/4. Given what we did in the pre, that is the area top at 13 1/4, and then the 10 EMA is taking us into that 13 1/3, which is why I say that buy zone. So we're going to have a good look at this one. If it comes back into that area, your boy is going to do it live. All right, let's keep an eye on IRE as well. Again, not rocketing up or very, very strong, but 11.5%. This one sold off basically from the open onwards into the close yesterday. Today, recovering a little bit, but we're still below the pre-market high, which takes us into 12 1/3. High of the day, 1191. But look at the strength on this one. I mean, since it reclaimed the 10 EMA on the 5 right at 5 to 10 this morning, it hasn't even touched it. So a very, very directional name, but again, not big percentage winner on the day. And then we're also looking at TE, not strictly a small cap gapper, but had a fantastic midday yesterday. The breakout coming right at 10:45, and all was said and done by the time we got into the high. Connection lost. That makes more sense. Okay, guys. So I'm having a bit of a data issue over here. We're going to have to wait until that one kind of resets. Let's see what we got. All right, just give me a second over here. I'll get to that one in a second. I just got to set up these charts. Yeah, okay, I don't know what's going on with them, so we'll have to come back to them once they reset. But now let's get into BNAI because it's taking out highs. It didn't even come close to 15 and a quarter, 15 and a third. It is continuing to put in higher lows, unobstructed, 1740 high, dipping back down and now into 17. Good strength on this one. I don't know why it's not updating the price on my chart. I don't know what is going on with the software today, bro. All right, you're gonna have to take over for a minute.
Yeah, no worries, man. I'm looking at this market, and some of these names are extending a lot more than others. Look at Softy. Microsoft is in a straight line up here, Sharif. Oh my God, what's going on here? I don't know if they had any news or anything like that this morning, but increasing relative volume, and there is definitely a straight up buyer here on Microsoft on the day today. Yes, Adara.
So other than the fact that apparently they've ended their cloud issues, apparently OpenAI CEO Sam Altman is planning to visit India in February. That's reported by TechCrunch. That could help. We know Microsoft's involved in OpenAI, but there's nothing massive that's Microsoft specific other than, again, the OpenAI connection.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, okay, so no direct catalyst here on Microsoft, but definitely it seems like a very strong buyer here. So let's pull up the book here on MSFT and see what's actually going on under the hood here on in the book, in the tape. Let's see if there's people stepping up here. You know what? I like to kind of I realize that I prefer going and seeing the actual share size here, absolute share size. Let's throw that on. So now we see the details instead of just one lot, because a lot of the times if it's a sub lot on that level, it'll just round it up and be like there's one lot here. But I want to know specifically how many shares are sitting at every single level. Let's take a quick look at this. So we'll put on a filter, not for 99 shares. We'll go for 2,000, just under 2,000 shares there, 35. So we can see anybody. You know what? We'll do 1,000. We'll do 1,000. It is Softy. It's a higher priced stock. So we will do 999 shares. So here, I can bring this in over here. So this is the filter. So highlight rows that have shares above 999. So anybody with 1,000 and over, there you go. There's that highlight that you just saw. So we'll see what's going on in here. What gates are kind of riding this up at the same time. So Softy with a very, very strong bid. Let's see what it's holding, where some prior levels are. The market's also bidding up pretty aggressively at the same time here. Let's take a look left for some prior levels. There's a bit of consolidation right here. 469, 470s. Seems like we're almost right there, Sharif. So the question becomes, we broke out of this Wednesday high, where we got that strong selling. That was a bit of a topping action. We look at this triple bottom here, roughly triple bottom, 456s, which coincides with some of these resistances that happened on Tuesday and Wednesday as well. We got way past that, so slice through that like butter. Now let's see if this level holds any sort of significance. It could obviously not. If if there's so much demand that the buying does not care and it's just going to scoop everything up, then I want to be aware of that as well. So I'm going to continue watching this Microsoft to look for any sort of weakness here. When this buyer is done, again, it is distinctly different from the rest of the market, because if you look at any of the others here, Nvidia doing absolutely nothing, even though it gapped up. Right? Even though it gapped up, doing absolutely nothing, trading within its range, got slammed off of the opening candle there. Google as well, nothing crazy, just sideways chop, consolidative action here. Tesla, similar action right here, sideways chop, just in its pre-market and opening range, just going sideways. Maybe, yeah, higher highs, higher lows, but I don't know anything about that. Holding prior days, end of day consolidation lows as well there. Amazon, closer to that of Microsoft and maybe Apple as well. We do have a bit of a strong trend here on Amazon pushing higher. It is one of the names that is slightly extended alongside Microsoft, but again, Microsoft percent-wise way more extended than Amazon here relative to its ATR. So 240.44s is that high. Maybe we can do a bit of a trend line here. Let's keep an eye on this one as well. But I do like Softy much better. Apple, real quick, right here, strong dip off of the open. and then bidding back up into prices we haven't seen since yesterday, Sharif. So 250 might be the level there. 249.41 is the day high. As of right now, let's take a quick look at Meta. And okay, so Meta is another name that's pretty overextended as well. Let's see how much this is extended. Okay, all right. So it seems like it's extended closer to similar to Amazon than it is to Microsoft in terms of measuring that extension here. So 663.19's prior day high. Man, this probably was the push here. You can see that flat top that formed here yesterday, Sharif.
Sorry, I'm just in a trade.
647 halves. No worries. Yeah. 647 halves right here prior day, flat top roughly, and then you can see we come up. Swipe right above that. Breakout was nice, pulls back into that range high, and then off to the races, confluenced with a VWAP hold at the same time. So 650 hold all the way to 663s here on Meta. So that's pretty much the Mag 7 as of right now, but Softy looking distinctly different. So I do have close eyes on that one. As soon as that buyer is done, I do want to participate. I do want to stay involved with this one. Market tailwind as well. Both the ES and Nasdaq strong bids right now. Maybe it'll come in with the turn of the market at the same time. So do have eyes on that. Apple I like as well because it kind of is knocking against that 250 for potential reversion. But in the chat, where was that?
All right, let me just, I got to cover some of these. Oh,
yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
What's
all
going
right,
on
so BNAI, guys, continuing to go here. We're scalping in and out. Initially in at 17, scalped up into 1775, tried to get back in on the dip of 17, it didn't hold. So I had to stop out 1669, so we'll lose a little bit on that one as it comes back down. It looks like it's holding the 20 moving average on the 5. So it's a 2-candle red pullback. It's substantially above the volume weighted average price. Oh, wow, just found a lot of support there right at prior bar low. Prior bar high takes us into 1710. So a break of lower highs is a break above the prior bar high, which is 1710. We're showing 83s now. So we're going to keep an eye out on this one. I still have a bias that this one has a buy zone between 1550 to 15 and a quarter. No, I want to say between 16 to 1550 if this current setup fails. So let's bring in the side chart and have a look at exactly what this one is up to on the black charts over here. A little bit better, a little bit cleaner of a look. So this is what I mean by taking out prior bar high. Okay, so we just opened a new bar now. So prior bar high now is $17. The one before that is the one that's 1710. So we are lower high, and yet another lower high. So let's keep an eye out though on that 16 to 1550 buy zone. BNAI, very strong, very directional, but breaking trend, at least for the moment. You can kind of see that through the breakdown there. It had been holding higher lows, and then the candle at 1116. This is the 1-minute chart. Oh, that's why it's so all over the place. So I was wondering what the hell, why does it look so busy? Okay, so 1550. There we go. So the 5-minute actually ends up breaking down. So let's keep an eye out on this one. Let's see what support levels we end up getting. Secondly, move. I tried to get to this one earlier, but the chart was freezing on me. What I do like about MOVE, even though it is below the volume weighted average price, is still holding up these higher lows. So I would like to see a possible hold here at around 17.5, maybe work its way back into 18 to hold prior area trough. Prior area trough is actually, I believe, the low of the day that we put in because this was all pre-market right here. So this is the low of the day, the 10-15 candle, which got us into 17. No, that's not the one. 16 something is the low of the day. How can that be the low of the day when it's 8:45? Huh? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Is this the one? Area low. Oh, there we go. 1626. So that's the 10-15 candle. 1626, 10-15 candle. So let's see if it holds up above 17. It's showing 1770 right now. It would technically be a breach of my rules because it's below the volume weighted average price at 1850. But I do really like this higher low pattern. So if we can kind of catch it with maybe a move into that 1850, that would be one way to play it. The other way to play it would not to be would not just try to guess whether it holds higher lows, but to wait for confirmation above prior area crest. That takes us above 20 bucks. So you're waiting for a $20 break on move to the high side and then possibly a squeeze in at 24, which is the high of the day, 23.90. So we're going to keep an eye out on Move. I think Move still, you know, because it's up 150%, technically below the volume weighted average price, but it's probably going to have a lot of people's attention. But BNAI seems to be the one that is catching all the support at the moment. So we'll continue to watch here because it still hasn't broken the prior trend. Prior trend, as I mentioned, is lower high, as well as lower low. This current 5-minute candle that we're on at 1120 actually does have a higher low relative to the 1115 candle, which is 1611. So current bar low. Oh boy, this software is going to kill me today. I can't tell you what current bar low is because the mouse over is not working, which is fine. So we're going to keep tabs on that. But BNAI and MOVE, if there are any other tickers you guys are looking at that in the world of small cap gappers, tag me. But I don't really like anything too much at the moment, at least on my scanner. Other than that, we're going to keep an eye on, oh, but I forgot to mention, I got stopped out at THHH, even though this halted. Could have broke even on this one. I was kind of insistent that this one hold higher lows. We ended up taking a bit of a hit on it, but not that big of a deal. So now we're going to focus more on BNAI and MOVE, Obe.
Yes, sir. So yeah, no, let's check out what some of you guys are talking about here in the chat at the same time. I want to keep eyes on this SNDK at the same time because both Micron and SNDK have been moving around pretty decently, but kind of in a sideways range, chopping around as of right now. Here on SNDK, we tried to get through 505s. Couldn't really get through 500 back through. It's coming in nicely, range low, opening range low, in and around, what is that, 475s, 480s. Seems like where the buying really start to step in here. Oh, there goes Softy here. First sign of sellers on Softy. So I do want to get involved with this one. Throwing that stop. Makes good decisions is the name of the game every single day. But again, I want to reiterate that I am trading on the simulator today because I kind of shot myself in the foot in the morning. Did not take a real trade. Just came in, started punching some keys. And that's the issue. That's the issue.
I feel it, bro. It's more of an emotional
it's just like
you're late.
I'm late. I got some FOMO. I'm like, okay, I'm like, you know, I've done all this work in my head where I'm like, I'm visualizing certain types of trades on Intel because it's earnings day one, and I'm like, oh, I missed this, I missed that, and I'm like, I'm gonna try to do something here. Nope. Yeah, exactly. Brian Fu saying, yeah, it's Obi's in timeout. Yeah, definitely. I'm in timeout. I pull myself in timeout today. Yeah, no, it happens. Sometimes you shut down. You got to make sure you don't do that. You know, at least more than once every couple months. So
it happens.
Still within range. Still within range. But you know, it always sucks when you give back like a couple days worth of work, and it's just 100%. like okay, damn, like you know. Now, it's not even. Then I started thinking about like, am I trading PNL? No, I'm not. But you know, a couple of good days. Was it really worth it? I could have just sat down, followed my rules. Don't trade till 10:30. Just relax, take a deep breath, get some green tea, take a sip, calm down, look for the next trade. That's what should be done, right? What's up, Adara?
SNOW dropping a little bit. I have yet to watch this interview. I'm going to do so now, but there is a new interview with Snowflake CEO Sridhar Ramaswamy, which was apparently filmed during, or I guess right after, Davos. This just came out like literally a minute ago. This was posted on X, and we do get a bit of a move down in Snowflake. Back to you.
Today's coverage is supported by Electrocore Inc., a Nasdaq-listed bioelectronic technology company trading under symbol ECOR. Electrocore develops non-invasive neuromodulation therapies designed to activate the vagus nerve with products spanning prescription medical devices and consumer wellness. Its flagship Gamma Core platform is FDA cleared for multiple headache indications. Might need that now. While its Truvaga and Quell products expand the company's reach into wellness and chronic pain. With growing adoption across the VA, international healthcare systems, and direct-to-consumer channels, Electrocore is building a diversified, high-margin bioelectronic business. Learn more at electrocore.com. Shout out to them. Good look there, Obe.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Sharif.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what was it? Big E in the chat saying, "Gotta trade it like it's your own money." Yeah, here's the thing, man. Here's what I realized. I think as soon as you start thinking about dollar signs, you're already in the wrong mindset. Like I do not, when I'm trading, I do not think about the money. I think about the opportunity. I think about the levels. I think about what's going on. I'm trying to participate with the move. Like the P&L has to be a byproduct of your decision making. Most people go wrong, in my opinion, when their mindset is stuck on the money. Like 100%. You cannot do that. That's not how you play this game. That's my opinion. I have a very strong opinion on that, but I strongly believe that that it's all about decision making. If you can't even make decisions, like forget about the money, dude. I know a lot of people get into this game being like, oh, I want to make a quick buck, and that is most people's downfall.
Yeah. Exactly.
Straight up, that's most people's downfall. Like, you can't do that, right? It's like, you know, think about it this way. When a professional basketball player is playing the game, while he's playing, is he thinking about, oh, I want to get 60 points this game? If that's his mindset this whole time, he's just like, yo, I need to score 60 points. He's probably forcing moves. He's probably forcing plays, stuff that's not there, right? But if he's playing the game for what it is, then it's totally different. Go sports. So that's what I mean. Like you don't think about how many goals you're going to score in soccer.
No.
When you're playing, you're just like, I need to do anything I can to open up the field, open up some space for my team, so we can get some good plays in.
Absolutely.
It's all about making good plays. Money's just a byproduct. Once you get that around your mind, around your head, then it's just then you step up. Then you ask yourself, where's the next decision? What's the next decision? Then you can actually start improving, right? Other than that, it's just like, okay, well, here's the thing. When you do start playing well, then be greedy. Then you have to be a pig, right? You have to be like that to really exponentially like accelerate. But even then, you're not necessarily thinking about the money. You're thinking about how can I maximize this opportunity at like as much as possible. Right? So it's never going to be about
I totally agree.
It's never going to be about money. And if you make it about that, you're probably not going to last very long. That's my very strong opinion. I could be very wrong as well, right? So anyways, where's the next trade? Softy's coming in. That broke its trend right here. So let's look at that. So we were just looking at this strong buying. And I'm like, the first sign of strong selling or any sort of distinct difference, I watched the tape for a little bit. Didn't really need to do that, but the chart kind of broke itself here as well. You can see, just draw a simple line. I was looking at the 5-minute chart. You can look at a 3-minute chart, 15-minute chart. Look at the back-to-back greens here. Now this buyer can step in at any time. The buyer is very strong. This is very active buying. Now we can move on to a phase of passive buying as well, where we just start making higher lows and higher highs. Right? So I do have to continue watching this and look for any sign of a potential buyer stepping in. But yesterday we were throwing on some moving averages because sometimes people like to use moving averages. See, trend line doesn't really work that well in this scenario because this is non-random in my opinion. There's a very strong buyer on Softy. So let's get rid of this VWAP. VWAP's all the way down at 461. So I'm going to get rid of this VWAP and throw on a moving average here, Sharif. So let's take a look at what moving averages are holding this. So let's see, EMA, yeah, exponential moving average. Let's do that. That's going to go straight to the 9, and that's perfect. And look at that. This was a great indicator of trend as we're holding above, and now we're trading below. And now the candles are also opening and closing below the moving average. So now the trend is broken as well. And is the market turning? Remember I said I would like to confluence that with the trend break on Softy with the market turn as well. The market also is starting to take a bit of a pullback here at the same time. So let's see. This trade could not work as well, right? It could also pull in, and it can pull right back up, and it could just come right back through the highs. So got to continue watching this, keep an eye on it, and stalking it as well.
Yes, sir.
But right now, let's see what's going on in the crypto world with Crypto Watch. What's up, Adara?
What a range-bound last couple of days here for Bitcoin. We start this week with a lot of selling, then we have a green day on Wednesday, but these last 2 days we're trading in an identical range. Lows of around 88.5, highs here of around 90. 0.2. So we're mostly trading here below that 90,000 level, currently at 89,500. One kind of interesting thing that I found that I want to talk about is this year-end report from Coingate. That's their crypto payments report for 2025. Now, Coinbase is a global crypto payment processor. One of the biggest things, apparently, that they found within this report is that there is an increase in how crypto is being embedded in business operations. Worth noting, Bitcoin, #1 used cryptocurrency on Coinbase. Coingate. That's 22.1% of all payments. USDC, the dominant stablecoin, that's in second place here for crypto used on the platform. And the volume for USDC up 1,264% year over year. Top payout currency was also USDC here with 83.4%. So when you get here as a sense of increasing amount of crypto being embedded just in how businesses are operating, and also the increased profile of USDC. So interesting stuff there. Stable coins continue to be in play. Back to you.
All right, Ob, I am 0 for 3 to start the day. So that makes a couple of us today that are not doing so hot. So let's cover some of these trades over here. BNAI killing me. All right, so I'm going to have to wait until it sets up a little bit better. I tried to get in at 15.5. 15.5 is where it's trading at right now, but it didn't strictly hold. So we have to pack our patience on this one. Separately, THTH, I already mentioned that one, got caught in a down halt. That one was a big deal. BNAI, much bigger loser than THH. And then Move actually had a great compression pattern, some of the higher lows. I lamented not picking this one up on the higher low. It would have been profitable on that. I kind of decided to wait until it got above the volume weighted average price. Stopped me out. It has a wide range. The prior candle has 1907 high and a 1777 low. So I couldn't really hold to current bar low, let alone prior bar low, because the range was too big. So now what I'm going to wait for to see if we can break out above prior bar high. Prior bar high takes us to 1905. We're currently showing 1850. So not a good morning for me to start. We're going to try to work out of the hole that we've built ourselves into, but it's been a good week. So on the week, everything is gravy, but today, not so much. So we're going to have to, take it a little bit easier now and really look for the quality setup. So as I watch that, as I wait for the quality setups, I'm seeing BNAI generally find support off 15. So maybe I should have been looking more at that 15 rather than the 1550. The 1550 was more based on wicks. 15 is the closing print. Prior bar high on BNAI takes us to 16.25. We're showing 16, 20, 15 right now. Let's see if we can clear prior bar high and kind of see if the longs or the buyers are going to overwhelm sellers at this level. We haven't cleared it, and I don't really want to take it on a breakout level, like, you know what I mean, like putting it a penny or two above prior bar high probably is not a recipe for success just based upon the liquidity grabs that happen at these levels. Okay, so we've breached prior bar high. Now let's see if we get continuation right into 17. Not really. We're zigging and zagging here at the third of a dollar. Let's see if we can get above a half. Nope. So even though we have higher lows and higher highs in the current 5-minute candle on BNAI, there's no continuation, and down into 16 we go. So that's what I mean kind of by waiting for a decided clearance of prior bar high rather than, a technical clearance of the level. Down into 16, continuing to watch. I think BNAI may have buyers come in at some point, but the lower high, the general lower high trend still very much intact. So packing the patience on that one. We're zigging and zagging into 16. We may lose 16 here momentarily. So kind of happy that I held off on that one and didn't get in on a technical break of the prior bar high. So that's what I'm looking at there. People are saying NFE. Let me have a look quickly at NFE on the top chart over here to see what that situation looks like. A little light on volume, 16.5 million shares, which isn't bad, but it's a $1.95 name. And I can just tell you that it's illiquid just by looking at the chart. You just kind of get a feel for things at the time, but not too bad. If it clears $2 decidedly on NFE, it could be a good one. New Fortress Energy, about a $500 million market cap, 553 is what I'm seeing there on my chart. GIBO is working its way back above the volume weighted average price, and this one is up 31, 32%. It's still well below that pre-market high of $2.99, $3, and not to mention the official high, which is $2.70. This one was trading below the volume weighted average price for the majority of the morning, which is why I didn't really focus too much on it. Yeah, MOVE dropping right back down below the volume weighted average price. So kind of happy I didn't pick that up. But here we go. RDW, this one I was mentioning, I was singing this one's praise yesterday and today, 1374 high, dropping back, Christmas tree retracement into the volume weighted average price around 13 bucks. Here's the deal though, multiple bottoming tail candles into that VWAP area usually means that the buyers are waiting around VWAP for the buy, but they're not strong enough, at least for the moment, to overwhelm sellers, hence why we are closing these candles red and not making any higher highs. But I'm alive to the bottoming tail candles, and that usually sometimes is the setup for the long. So we'll keep an eye here on RDW, a much more stable name. Mind you, it's not a BNAI or a move, but one that we can make money off nonetheless. I don't want to say it's predictable because that usually gets me in some trouble when I use that word in small cap gapper land, so to speak, but it's more stable, I would say that. Let's not use the predictable word and jinx ourselves over here. I see TE. Shout out to Reg Cockery. TE, it's not too bad. Yeah, it's got a nice looking bull flag here, but it's off the highs, putting in lower highs, but a nice clean hold off 9 and into the mid-teens we go. I'd like to see a prior crest break. That takes us generally above 920. I'm continuing to watch BNAI though. I'm not going to stop watching that one as that topping tail inverse hammer candle was looking awfully bearish. That shows us that, you know, the sellers were certainly I don't know, what's the word, pretty staunchy in their position. Even though we breached prior bar high, we ended up getting pushed down quite aggressively. But this candle here, it's got a higher low. Not necessarily a higher high, but it's starting possibly a trend change by putting in that higher low. Now, alas, we're only about a minute into the candle, so let's not get too excited. But, you know, I'm definitely keeping an eye on these and looking for the breakout possibly into that 18 1/3. And then one I've said very little about, because it's a little bit wonky here in how it's trading. But QCLS, a nice breakout, man. It kept popping off that initial halt level at 475, rocketed up to 548, kind of in the mean now at 5 1/5, but holding 5 generally, but some higher lows here. Yeah, some higher lows, but also some lower highs. And here we go, moving back into 37. It's 48 high of the day. So I'm looking at that one as well. So those are the ones I'm looking at right now. I'm not in a position because nothing is setting up in the way that I like, but I'm very interested in getting into move if it's able to take out 19, 1910 and BNAI OB if it's able to break above that kind of 16.5, maybe 17-ish.
Nice look there, Sharif. So the market did start to take a bit of a pullback here. So I got involved with some TQs, not really expecting this one to work as cleanly as some of the other ones, but the market is taking a bounce right back up. So that's selling very short-lived, and these shorts might be shorter than I expected. So you know what I mean? But we'll see. It's not too bad. I got Netflix on watch here as well, Sharif. Netflix continues to push up higher. NFLX. Baby. We talked about that area, man. Remember that?
Yes,
82?
sir, we did. Yes, sir,
and I was like, hey, next level in and around where the support was that 82 level. On earnings report, we got to 80.38s. And guess what? Sure, it might take a couple of days. But on the first day, we rip up, we see that demand, or see some demand there. Next day, flushes back in, holds this prior day consolidation low here at 83s. That 83 became a little significant because I was like, okay, well, that 83 is showing itself. If we're going to start stepping up, 80, 82, 83, then I like it. Take a look at this now. We're breaking out of opening session highs. We're breaking out of prior day's highs. We're breaking out of earnings of day one highs as well, and kind of recovering a decent chunk. I'd say over 50%. Well, we already did that on day one, but now we're holding about a 50% reversion of the reaction that we got off of earnings. Now that earnings reaction from the high to the low, Sharif, was almost 9%, 8.7 I see, so roughly. So we made it back up. 82 was that level here. So I was like, if 82 cracks, then we have room to 70s, but 82 has to be respected at the same time. So let's go to the weekly, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about here. So this was the area in January of 2025. So prior year low as well. If we go to a 12-month chart, there's probably a bit of a low in and around here. as well. We got another bid, the April bid, when the president told us to buy. And the whole market caught a bid off of that April buying that did come in. So that was in and around 82s. Let's get specific. What was that low? I think 81's already been traded, right? 82.11s. 82.11s was the intraday open session low there on both those bottoms. And you can see here, we did push up pretty aggressively all the way from 82s. These are split adjusted prices, 82s to 134. So that was about a 64% run within about, what is that, 70 days, 80 days? 77 days. So how many bars is that on the week? Within 11 weeks, 11 to 12 weeks, Netflix ran a good 60% off of that support level. Now, this is where buyers were before. Again, just trying to use support and resistance. This is where buyers were before. And this is where it looks like buyers are coming in once again. But it is distinctly different kind of from last time because we've sold off for so many weeks into this level. Do I expect a little bit of chop in here if I'm looking for a continuation lower? Absolutely yes. Do I expect a little bit of a bid here at the very least? I think so. I think there was a decent chance of it coming in, and it definitely is as of right now. So I'm going to continue watching this. Again, taking a look at higher time frames, the monthly. We can look at the 3-month chart as well if we want to look for longer term swing plays here. But that break of trend came in at around 114, 115. Absolutely beautiful. Going to the 3-month chart, same story here. Back-to-back green months, or green candles. This is each candle here represents 3 months, right? So 114.72s. As soon as that trend breaks, we got aggressive selling to the downside. And with that trend, you can say that, sure, it confirms the break on the prior bar low break. So 115 roughly down into 80s. It's a 30% pullback. So roughly about 50% retracement of the crazy 60% push that we just saw earlier as well. So Netflix coming into a key area, catching a bit of a bounce. So I am watching it. I was watching it earlier for this opening range high breakout, but you can see not very clean, very choppy, but now that bid is coming in quite nicely. And the market seems like it's catching a bid here pretty strong as well. So we could continue to push higher.
You know what else? Who else got caught? Market's catching a bid. Your boy Ryan Wedding is locked up. Yeah, so this is like Canada's most notorious. Do you know about this guy?
No.
Oh boy. He's locked up. So this guy was a former Olympian, man.
Okay.
Canadian snowboarder in the Salt Lake City Games back in 2002.
I like snowboarding.
Turned jurisdictional drug dealer, but for the Sinaloa cartel. He's like one of the most wanted men in Canada, one of the most wanted men by the FBI, let alone Canada. And they caught his ass, so bye. But anyway, yeah, this guy's lawyer.
How did they catch him?
Was
this the one where his lawyer told him to like deal with people?
Yes, yeah, to take care of people, yes. Yeah, his lawyer who ended up getting bail, which is funny. This speaks a lot to the Canadian justice system, but yeah, there's neither here nor there. But anyway, thank you, Grant, for letting me know that. This is hilarious. They've been looking for this dude. Is this what he looks like now? Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, did you see this guy's car? Ooh, he's got some stuff, man.
I mean, I'm sure if you're hustling for the cartel, you got some dollars in
especially the Sinaloa cartel.
Sure.
They might have $1 or $2, Ope.
Yeah, they might have $1 or $2.
A couple of bucks there under their belt. But okay, Scott, I see you, Scott. All right, guys, we're holding, we're doing it live. We're finally in a winning trade. Unreal. No, I'm kidding. We're keeping an eye here on RDW, a clean hold off the volume weighted average price. We're looking for continuations here into the third of $1. And then, if all is well, we'll get back into those highs at 13 3/4. This is RDW up about 10 and change on the day. Let's not sing this one's praise too quickly yet. Now, I was talking above about BNAI, and I did take a quick profitable scalp finally off the volume weighted average price for like 50 pennies, but it still hasn't broke structure, which is why I'm not holding, why I just scalped and got the hell out of there, because this is still happening. The lower highs is unbroken. lower highs, lower lows. It's at a predictable area of the volume weighted average price, but I'm already right on it. So I don't want to create more bleeding. I'm going to wait until the downtrend is broken, breaks above this trend line, shows me a couple of higher highs relative to the prior 5-minute candles, and I'm going to jump into this one. But I feel, this is not setting up for a long quite yet, despite the fact that it's at the volume weighted average price and, a predictable area for a long. Now, I want to mention this one, IRE, much slower mover, and this one is actually only up about 15 3/4 on the day, but there it goes into another daily high, 12 1/5 right now into, the high of the day. Good trend structure as well. A good bull flags, breakout, then you have the consolidation area component of the bull flag with a 1150 area low, 1190 high, and then you break decidedly through that. Now we're on our way into that 12 1/4, almost at 12 1/3. So IRE, not a bad looker either. Now up 16 2/3, and there goes into another high of the day, 1230 now on IRE. Good look, guys. So keep your eye out on this one. It's a clean holder of the 10 EMA on the 5, but you're going to have to give this one room, because it has a tendency just to wick breach it and then it closes above it. Currently, the 10 EMA is below 1190, which is what I perceive to be the breakout level, given the triple top here that we did from 1055 to 1105. So it really depends on where the 10 EMA, but look at this go. It's squeezing, guys. On volume, too, this candle here has about 800,000 shares on a name that's only done, I want to say, about 16 million shares on the day. So a lot of volume coming in now with the breakout, 1237 high here on IRE. Very strong. Good look. Good luck on that one. We're going to have to set up on it. But we're setting up live, and we're finally doing okay here on RD frickin' W. Let's take another beak wetter there and move the one above that into a higher area of the 30s. And then we're going to set up in the mid-40s as well. And then we're going to, put some right on the door of that $50 level in case, of course, it does act as resistance. And then into the 60s we go. And if we're posting in the 60s, you already know where I'm posting. NUAI, what's going on with that one, Buvin? NUAI, let me see who I'm going to take off over here to see what NUAI looks like. Let's just look quickly here because I want to get to BNAI. Yeah, I don't like this one, Buvin. I see that it's holding VWAP at 7. I know you like these ones, the ones that where, it sets up a base and then you take it long. That's your world, Buvin, but I don't really like the trend setup on NUAI at the moment. But thanks for mentioning that. Let's get back now to BNAI because this one just put in 2 green candles in a row here. The first time this one hasn't closed. The first time it's done that, I want to say, since the candles 1105 and 1110, every other candle has been red or mixed red and green. There hasn't been 2 green candles in a row, nor has BNAI broken the lower high downtrend. So I'm going to wait for that before I get in, but certainly looking at BNAI for another entry off the volume weighted average price, but it has to break structure first. What else? Oh, by the way, IRE got into 1250. So we were talking about that one at 1237. This one now has a high of day of 1250. Outlaw Trader telling me NEOV, Neo Volta, $240 million market cap. Not looking bad, but, sparsely traded with 3.25 million shares on a $6 name at almost 12 o'clock. Let's look at NEOV for the OG Outlaw Trader. Show yourself, NEOV. That's the daily. We don't want the daily. Good looking daily though, man. Not bad. Breaking through some of these critical technical levels here at $6. Into 7 we go. Not a bad looking chart. Certainly good higher lows breaking through that area top. But on the day, it's a 10 EMA hold and pop, baby. Because ever since we claimed the 10 EMA at 930, right at that opening bell, it hasn't closed below it. A couple of wicks that it does breach a 10 EMA, but for the most part, as you can see, a clean hold of the 10. Now it's going to have trouble likely at 7, right? Because this is the whole dollar level, a bit of a thicker trade, psychological resistance. Shorts likes to set up at the whole dollar. We'll have to wait and see whether NEOV can take out that level, but not a bad looking chart, certainly. So keep eyes on that. How's RDW doing? Zigging and zagging, but it's curling up. Now, I want to mention something here on RDW. What I fear in these type of trades when you have a very, very pronounced high like this, which drops, you know, basically unabated down into the volume weighted average price, is that, yeah, you get a bounce and it looks good. 3-candle green setup, you know, V-shaped retracement incoming. What often happens though, and this is just experience talking, is that it ends up holding up at a lower high. So if you got a bias that this is going to take out 1350 on its way to 13 3/4, sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, but sometimes it ends up putting in a lower high and then it makes its way right back down to VWAP, maybe even loses VWAP in that lower high, lower high, lower high, flat bottom break. We've seen that pattern many times before. So I don't want to get caught in that. So I'm going to try to take out some beak wetters here. And then if it decidedly breaks above this level that we're at right now, actually, which was kind of the pre-market top where we could expect resistance, we clear that decidedly, then, you know, your boy is going to add. See what we can do. We can do it live. So keep that in mind. Back to BNAI, continuing to watch here. Now, we've got 2 green candles in a row, but they're quite anemic on the 5 relative to the red candles that were put in prior to them. So it's not really showing, you know, buyer domination over the sellers. Certainly not. These are kind of very anemic green candles, especially when you compare them to the move up above that. So I'm going to continue to wait here. I don't think it's quite right to get in on BNAI at the moment. By the way, some technical levels, 1440 VWAP, 1520, 10 EMA on the 5. So we're currently using the 10 EMA on the 5 as a resistance as we had been using it for support prior. So that is the look there. Obi, what else? What do we got over here? Are we doing it live on RDW? Yeah, good. This one is moving up. Let's see if it really takes out that pre-market top that I was talking about, 13 1/4. We're showing a third now, but I don't know. I'm not you know, too exuberant about this. Outlaw Trader, QCLS, new highs. QCLS, show yourself, QCLS. Not a bad look at all. Okay, good breakout. This is a good one. Give me a sec to pull it up over here. Yeah, Drew Farrell saying the same thing. They're both seeing it. QCLS, here we are. Good, clean breakout on volume. 7 million shares, 567, 576 high now. 579 high, so this one's quite strong. We're going to put this one on the side chart. QCLS. There we go. So now it'll update on that one. Good. Very good breakout here on QCLS. Oh, I had that one already. What am I talking about? I'm losing my mind, Obi. I already had that one. That one's a slow mover. What are you looking at, brother?
Nothing much, man. I'm looking at Google here at the same time. People in the chat where we're talking about silver. We'll get to that one in a second. Google breaking through its day low as of right now. Look at this. Maybe not a clean flat bottom, but the 330 hold as well. Prior days getting taken out as of right now here as well on Google. So flag consolidation, whatever you want to call it, lower highs into this pre-market low, which kind of held as support in the pre-market, held as support off of the opening range low, held as support once again at around 1015, and a nice little slow and steady consolidation on top of it, and a clean breakdown happening here on Google at the same time. So that's kind of what I have on watch. Amazon continues to push higher here as well. So is Softy. It's probably going to get stopped out here as we did pull back into 65s almost, 465s, and then bid all the way back to the highs. So I'm just going to keep the stop in there and let that hit if that potentially comes in. But the Google breaking down through its range low is quite nice at the same time. So let's go to silver here. Silver, people are saying silver is out of control. Yeah, definitely going absolutely crazy here. Let's go to silver futures. So that's US dollar by the ounce. You can see here, we did hit 100 today. Okay, wow, nice. Finally hit that 100 mark per ounce on silver. So let's see how this one has been building up. Look at this. Look at the range on the weeks, man. Prior week high breakout at 93, straight up to 100s. This was the push. This was the squeeze, right? The first red candle, definitely we saw maybe potentially reports of some larger players getting positioned in for the short. Now, I don't know if that TDS report I saw, TD Securities report I saw was valid or not, but it was kind of circulating. So I was like, okay, well, you know, if they were short and their stop was 92s, they're probably not the only participants that were shorting on this. You know, valid move. A lot of people get involved with the front side of the move, and from time to time, and it happens. So I'm just like, if they're the only ones they're definitely not the only ones getting short. It was an okay idea, I guess.
Right.
But we did talk to a couple of people, and we're just like, okay, well, unless and until it can actually break the trend and hold lower, it might not be the best thing to get aggressive on the swing on the swing short. But yeah, absolutely parabolic here, $100. Let's see how our friends are doing in the gold. Gold as well. Wow, almost 5K. Almost 5K an ounce.
Is that the weekly?
This is the weekly.
That's ridiculous.
This is the weekly chart on gold, and you can see here where we hit a high of $4,988.22 on
Don't forget
gold
those 22
here. And then this is the was it CFDs on gold, but roughly the same area here. So yeah, these commodities are absolutely blasting off as of right now, Sharif. Where will it end? Are we going to find a consolidative base on top of 5,000, on top of 100? That's the next question that I'm asking. Right?
It's a great question.
Can we continue to push higher and continue to bid higher and continue to squeeze people out as well at the same time? Here, Escape Planet saying, can you please look at Oracle for a possible swing trade? Okay, all right. Oracle. This one's an interesting one here as well, and I know that Adara has a lot to say about this one in terms of some of their practices. And yeah, it's definitely a little bit questionable, some of the stuff that they're doing and some of the numbers that they're putting out. But as a swing here, let's just keep it simple. No bias. Let's just mark some support and resistances. So this was a resistance. Okay, you already see a bunch of my stuff. Already it's telling me that every anchor I had pinned from March of 2024, where we actually started to break out of this sideways range, we are now trading below that. So in any and every average participant, we're trading below their average prices. So maybe, that can definitely give us some sort of a bias here. Look at all these horizontal levels that I had on, because I'm like, oh, that's a level, that's a level, that's a level. We never got past any of those, and that was all the way up at the 300s, right? We break structure at 270s. We break some lows here at 217s. We come back into this level here where we did break out from. That was quite nice. But yeah, this thing looks like it's stepping down lower and lower. Let's see where we can find the next support and resistances right here. So I'm seeing this right here right away, and this guy right here as well as a low. That's probably in and around the same as this area. So we'll keep that one there. So this is a pretty wide kind of range that we're stepping into, because we broke out of this really tight range. Let's mark this one as well. This was a pretty tight range, and wow, look at that beautiful confluence. Oh my God, that looks so nice right there. This is kind of, oh yeah, definitely. Oh my God, right there. So prior resistance turns into support. That becomes into a range. That range breaks out. We step up on top of that range. We get going. And then we pull back pretty aggressively. This happened from December of 24 all the way to March, April of 25. That's where that presidential bid came in, right? April of 25. We hold that prior range high, and then we accelerate all the way. I remember trading some Oracle here in and around this area as well. It was absolutely solid, right? The opening drives, the breakouts, those were quite nice. But then we lost a lot of that pressure. We lost a lot of that buying pressure. And pulling back to the downside here. So where is the next level that I see? It's all the way, I mean, the stronger level I think is down here at 124s. Now, of course, we're probably going to have a lot of chop. This is a range zone. We could just chop in here as well. But 123, a bit of support area. That's where it was before. Let's see if it shows up again. A bit of resistance here at 196s. Let's just round it and say it's around 200s. You can see we could not distinctly hold 200 either. So unless and until something fundamentally changes, we get some solid news. Maybe the sentiment around this stock changes. You can see here as well. What was interesting to me about Oracle is that on the run up, you don't get as much volume, but on the sell off, look at all this volume that you're getting to the downside. It is significant. These volume bars are significantly higher than anything that we've seen from August onwards. So that's very interesting to me as well. So in terms of swing, I have no idea. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So Scott in the chat saying, "Why don't you and the Confluence get a room?" Yeah, no, for sure. I'm always looking for that Confluence here. There's the market coming right back in. So we did get a strong bottom wick candle there prior 15-minute, and that's potentially coming in here as well. But yeah, those are the levels I've marked out here on Google. I'll keep those on because I do think that, especially, I really love this here where you had that high and then you step onto that high, that becomes a consolidation, and then this is confirmation. That's confirmation that yeah, 123s, 125s, whatever you want to call it, in and around that area is definitely a bit of a level, and it's shown us multiple times. So that's how I like to kind of gain confidence in certain support and resistance levels. The more touches it's had, the more respect that level has gained, then it becomes a stronger level for me. For now, we have what's happening and Neil's lesson of the day. So we'll see you guys soon.
What's happening? It's happening now, whatever it is. We're going to talk here about this market. First, though, I do want to mention Open Door with the kind of an odd social media post, but the stock did get a little bit of a move. They posted, quote, "We built a thing. Turn your home into a tiny diorama." Wes Anderson Senior Retro Video Game World. So it looks like they just made a feature where you can make your house 3D in bird's eye view. Either way, the stock did move a bit on this, and because Open Door is the type of stock that does tend to move on things like this, just want to let people know that's happening. So OPEN with a thing that they built. Let's talk here about the S&P 500, which is right now testing the support that we formed at 11:30 a.m., almost to these prior levels of resistance as well, around that 689 halves level. We did have an announcement this morning, or at least a report here from Bloomberg, that the EU suspending planned counter tariffs on U.S. goods makes sense because those tariffs were tied to U.S. President Trump's planned tariffs on certain EU countries, but because those tariffs are now off, I guess the counter tariffs are off as well. One thing that certainly gave the market a bit of a boost around 10 a.m. today is the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment print. This is a nice double whammy here. We get higher than expected consumer sentiment and lower than expected inflation expectations. So the idea that consumers are seeing less inflation and maybe a little bit more optimistic going forward. Not so optimistic today is the chart for Intel. INTC had a pretty weak Q4 2025 report in some ways. Now, they did have a double beat, but their guidance for Q1 left a lot to be desired, mostly because of supply chain concerns and a reported lack of new foundry customers or 18A customers until the second half of the year. But what I want to talk here about is the fact that their all other product category down 50% year over year. So even with that double beat, Intel was not maybe the cleanest of reports. Before we send you over to Neil, which should be a very clean lesson of the day, we're going to take a moment to thank our friends at Oragenics, because there are millions of concussions, but zero approved therapies. Oragenics, trading on the NYSE, is OGEN. They are advancing a new standard with its intranasal brain-first approach to concussion treatment. With an $8.9 billion market on the horizon, Oragenics is positioned to drive what comes next. So see what's ahead. Book a meeting today. Thank you very much to Oragenics, and thank you very much to Neil. Neil, you have a lesson. Care to tell us what it is?
Nah, I'm not going to tell you guys what it is at all. Lesson, of course I will, Dara. So I'm going to talk about like stop placement, not from like a super necessarily technical aspect of it, but just why it matters, which I think should be obvious, but also like different types of stops. Like the easiest stop that you can ever consider would be, let me just use, I don't know, I'll just pull up an Intel chart because I think this will be demonstrative, right? So let's just imagine you were going long Intel into the lows earlier today. So you might, like if you were trying to bottom pick this thing, you could just be long and you're going to give it to the bottom tail, so maybe you get stopped out there, you give it to the even dollar. When you're doing something like that, where you're like short in front of a big level or long in front of a big level, yeah, you throw your stop in and you leave it. But there's something about when a stock is moving away from a price that can be a little bit different. And so I'm gonna give you an example of like, to me, like what ended up being kind of day saving on SMR. Like when you're long off a bottom, okay, fine, it breaks the low, you get out. But if I'm observing an uptrend and I'm joining that trend, then I've got to recognize that, okay, there might be support at $19.90, but I have to determine what kind of a trade I'm making. Because if I'm going to go long on the trend line here, I'm either doing one of two things that I have to differentiate between right away. Am I taking this as a scalp trade into the high, or maybe I'll hold on to a small piece for a bigger move, and thus I want a tight stop if it breaks the trend? Or am I doing a bigger structure trade where I am getting rid of this, who cares about the trend line? I'm looking at this little V shape it made. There's your kind of constructive higher low. It fills in this gap, right? So a little bit of a gap fill. There's the support. I'm going long this break. I'm giving it to this level. Now I'm giving up a full percent. On a $20 stock, okay, fine, it's only 20 pennies. That's a full percentage point. So I need to think it can go multiple percentage points higher. So I'm going with the wide stop if I believe that this move is so strong it's going to take me into the high without breaking that low. That's the difference between, I always get like, well, where's your stop placement going to be? And oftentimes, I know I'm guilty of this. I'll just say, hey guys, this is my reason for getting in. Here's my stop. I can show you the trend line. But I kind of leave out the other part, which is you have to determine like what is the trade that you're going for. You'd be like a scalp trader when you're day trading it. You could be like intraday. I call it like intraday swinging, where you're looking for like a full day's move. Like that's your goal in the trade. So you're already giving it to a wider stop. You're needing more structure to come in. But you've got to determine that. And when you're going through multiple strategies, or you're trying to learn strategies, or you're trying to develop an edge, you got to pick what type of trade you're making and then sort of stick with that so you can judge the results. And this is the same thing whether you're swing trading or not. Like, are you willing to hold this thing for 3 quarters or 2 or 3 months into like next earnings? Then maybe it's going to require, say, a wider stop and more confirmation on entry. Are you taking it for like 3 or 4 days on a swing trade and it's very different and you can go with a tighter stop on a daily chart? But having an idea between whether I'm going for, hey, I see it holding a trend line, breaks VWAP, I like things over VWAP, I'm buying the trend line and scalping to the next high, I'm just gonna ride that wave with a tight stop, or am I completely ignoring that and am I going with some kind of a wider structure? Now, ultimately, this might have waked you up, maybe you're still in it, and I could be there flat on this trade, like waiting for the bigger move, like I haven't taken anything out and maybe I'm not stopped out. You've got to know what type of trader you're going to be. Because ultimately, when you get caught in between, and the entire reason for this lesson comes down to why I'm flat on the day and not up. Because this stop is terrible. In my book, it's terrible. Some people might consider it fine. But you've got to consider the context of what I was doing with this short. It's a trend break, and I'm playing it back to the volume-weighted average price. Well, it got almost to the volume-weighted average price. So there's zero reason for me to have my prior bar stop out here when I've only taken half of it out. When it's gone down, part of a trend trading strategy, to me at least the way I trade it, is to observe that trend, and that's where the trail should be. As it gets down and presses VWAP, my trailing stop moves into here, so it cannot turn into giving up half of your gains or most of your gains on that trade. So it's not just about where you place your stop and then leaving it as binary. It also matters the style of trade that you're doing. In this particular case, like I had a style of trading kind of, well, let's be real. I can't say I made a conscious decision to do it. I got into position. I was like, I think I can. I got my first fill, figured I saw this move kind of holding here. I'm like, okay, I can get away with going to the bathroom and coming back in. I couldn't get away with it. I also got trapped talking to someone for a couple of minutes. And when I came back, I'm like, oh, that move just happened. That being said, that doesn't excuse it. It's still the execution that matters. And when making this play, as a trend trader, I need to be moving my stop down because that is the style of trade. If this to me was I'm holding it all day for the low of the day and that is exactly what I'm looking for, then that stop's perfectly fine. Do it all day, every day. But you have to know what style of trade, what it is you're looking for before you can determine what to risk. And you have to do all that before you get into position. That's just how it is. Trading is not an easy game. It's literally the difference between me being up and flat today. I have like 1 flat, 2 wins, 2 losses, but it's because this silly mistake cost me from keeping those gains that I'll be flat. That's the life of a trader. You know, nobody's going to be perfect. You'll get up at the wrong time. You'll get wicked out. You'll I don't know, you'll keystroke every now and then. You'll get frustrated, all of these things. But if you at least have a plan of action that you can articulate and follow, including where and why you put your stops in and where you, and why you will move them as the stock moves, you have to start from somewhere. And then you have a plan that you've actually thought of, that is quantifiable, that you can actually look at the results of and judge the results, because you can't judge results if you don't have a process. If there's no process to your results, then they're not going to tell you anything. Well, you're going to go into a slump and then you have no idea how to get out of, because you can't really figure out what it is that you were doing in the first place. And that's an important aspect of trading. So good luck, everybody. I would give you a read on how the lunch was, but I haven't touched it. I got like some kind of a chicken salad sandwich and some vegetables, but I haven't opened it up yet, so I can't tell you whether the sandwich is any good. And it looks like Meta, seeing the headline, they paused teen access to AI characters as it develops a specially tailored version. That's what we need, more control.
Much for that, Neil. Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on Meta. Meta had a great day yesterday. Another decent day today, 2% in the Ville of Green. So we're going to keep an eye out on that. Now, I'm involved in a couple of trades at the moment, RDW and QCLS. I'm trying to catch the bounce here on QCLS at basically it's the 10 EMA and the volume weighted average price are like a couple of shekels off one another. So let's see if this holds on. I've given it a little bit of room, but it does look like it's going to continue to sell. By the way, for those who are participating long, there's a seller at 60 that we can't seem to shake. Now it does pop off, you know, the mid 40s, 50s, work its way up to 60. There's a seller there though. Let's see if he's going to step down. Right now, we're getting rejections in the low 50s on QCLS. This one was a rocket ship earlier, but there is a good level of support here, whether it holds on strictly or whether it, wicks me out. I put my stop below this area low. It looks like it will continue to bleed its own blood down here, but we'll pack the patience. And if we get stopped out, we got stopped out. We have a good price, so not too much being risked. That's why I kind of really insisted on waiting for that 1550 to come in, but it doesn't look like it's going to hold quite yet. Now, by the way, BNAI is starting to change its tune. It's breaking structure, by the way, of lower highs, and it's getting back above the volume weighted average price. So BNAI may be setting up over here. And this is kind of what I mean by that. The lower highs were, basically unbroken, and then it lost VWAP, couldn't put a couple of green candles for its life, and now it is. Now it's 1470, about to take out prior bar high at 1476. So let's see how this one does. I'll get back involved in BNAI if it's warranted, but I just need to be a bit more peculiar about my areas where I get in. So packing the patience over here. BNAI looking good. It looks like it's changing trend here on BNAI. Here comes 15. I don't want to get lured into this though, but we're going to keep an eye on it, Obi.
Handed you $1.25 million to trade. Process change? Let me ask you this, guys. If someone handed you $1.25 million to trade, would your process change or just your upside? That's the opportunity Funded Futures Network provides. They're a futures prop firm that gives traders access to large SIM and live funded accounts every day. They've already paid millions to traders around the world with fast, same-day, and daily payouts. And right now, evaluation accounts are 50% off, buy one, get one free, and no activation fees. You can find the link below or scan the QR code to check it out.
Check it out.
Right, Sharif. So,
here we go. Oh, what?
So I went to the lunchroom there, and I saw a tray of cookies. It's like.
That's hilarious. He set up the whole Cookie Monster thing. Man, shout out to Luca, man. I'll never forget that. Were you around when we did that? I think you were definitely around.
Yeah.
You, of course you were. I dressed up as Big Bird.
Yeah.
Right? And
you hated that costume.
Oh, God,
I remember.
Dude, I had to
You were like complaining about it. You were just like, oh, my God, I can't see. I'm so hot.
Yeah.
I'm sweaty.
Ridiculous. And we did it for the viewers, man. We
What
called
happened
them
to
out.
that costume, bro? You still got
I
it?
think it's around here. It used to be in the podcast room.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't know where it's at now. I think they may have thrown it out, but those were good. Those were good. Good times, man. Good memories, by the way. Did you wet that beak? Yes, I did.
Yeah. Is that where it comes from?
People are talking about F-Jet. No, wet the beak, that comes from The Godfather. I see F-Jet, good breakout, 11 1/3. But I'm kind of tied up, guys, with this trade here on QCLS. We got one beak wetter into 69. It's holding up at the volume weighted average price, but that pesky seller in the 60s is back. It did flash up into 69. Here it is at 67, 69 again. Let's see if we can get continuation, because it flashed last time. There it is into the 70s. We have 59s on. We're looking for a little bit more here, maybe a retest of 6, but we're going to pack the patience on this one. Let's see if it can pop off maybe into 6. We'll set up some orders. I've got orders in the low 80s, high 80s, low 90s, and then I have nothing in the high 90s, so let's go ahead and put that up there. And then we'll see, man. Maybe we can get up a little bit above 6. We'll put some at 607, but we definitely need to clear prior bar high, and we are very, very far away from that, because prior bar high takes us into 607. So now we've opened up a new bar, so the prior bar high now is 571. Prior bar low, 543. This current bar is basically undecided. It's looking flat. It really has no range. So keep your eye on this one. But BNAI is breaking out, guys. It is now 3 candle setup. It looks like it's breaking structure here from the kind of the prior weakness of the lower highs. Prior bar high on BNAI is 1501. Current bar high, here's 15 again. So BNAI changing its tune. Let's see if this one's got the juice to kind of squeeze in the way that it was right in the earlier time of the show. I think this one squeezed from like 15 into 18 quicker than you can say, how do you do? All right, well, maybe not. Maybe you can say it faster. But the point is, it got quick, it got up in a hurry, all right? QCLS back into the 74 now. Let's see if we can get continuation into 75. We got shares on this one, mind you. So let's see if we can kind of take advantage of this move. Never really know. RDW as well, looking real good. Back into that one. The higher lows and the flat top through 1330 was what lured me into this. 1335 now showing up here. Looking for a little bit more. Looking for that $0.50 break, knowing full well that we could be on the receiving end of lower highs. That's what concerns me. I made this point earlier about this name. There's your area high. Then we get another area high, which is lower with that same flat bottom. I'm talking about 13. So sometimes we don't take out this area high and we end up flat bottom breaking through 13. So be on the lookout for that. But finally, some success over here. I don't want to jinx it and then get clipped. Obi, so we're going to wet the beak here. Seller at 74, 77 is now showing up. Can we get continuity into the 80s? We're showing 78s now, zigging and zagging. So it looks like profit taking into the high 70s here on QCLS. I'm looking for an 82 print. Down into 72 we go, but popping right back up into the high 70s. So 70s as a level has not been cleared quite yet by QCLS, at least on this latest pop-up. Back to RDW. Are we wetting the beak here? We're going to take some profits here, and there it goes, and there it goes through the other area high. Now I'm waiting at 45, and I have nothing posted above 45. Let me just see my share size. Okay, not bad, not bad. Let's see, let's post up a little bit more here at 49, and then we have to wait north of 50. So we're going to keep tabs on that. But as I see it, QCLS coming back down now with a higher high, but the candle turning a little bit red as it drops back into the 60s. This is what concerns me, that we put in a lower high and then we end up flat bottom breaking through the volume weighted average price. But there is a good support level here at 1550 on QCLS. Sorry, guys, I'm going back and forth between the two, but I'm trading two names, so I have to do that. Back now, let's see what we're doing on RDW. Yeah, this one looking real good. I think RDW, if it clears 50, I'm talking about 1350, this one could see the high of the day, which is 1374, but we need a decided break of that 1350 because we know the psychological sellers are going to be hanging in and around that level. So good look, guys. We're going to keep tabs on these ones, and we'll report back to you, you know, if there's any major event. Oh, what are you looking at?
I want to. You know what? I think I want to. Remember, I said I'm going to start getting involved with some of these small caps.
Absolutely.
And even though the pre-market action is definitely much better than the intraday action. Yeah, let's see. I got involved with a little bit of that BNAI. I'm like, I like that 15. Let's see what it does with that 15. Again,
You're just taking it short.
Just no, taking it long.
My man.
Let's see. You know, we did get a significant pullback at 18 to 13s. Now, again, I don't trade this stuff very often, and I want to reiterate, just trading in the simulation today, taking these reps, and I talked about maybe getting involved in some things that I normally don't trade just for you know, testing and feeling out purposes. So
how do you know you're going to be good at it if you don't try?
Exactly. How you know how you going to get good if you don't even get to trying it? So that's
get to trying, baby.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see what this does with this 15. We came down, slammed into that $13.
I might take that with you if there's a clear break of 15.
I like this RDW that you're talking about as well.
Here it goes,
similar
baby.
Story. Now, before I continue, I do want to know what the floats on these are, just so I can get an average, just like an idea. Here, so the share float, okay, RDW is pretty solid. They're 85 million share float. Okay, there, that's not too bad. And then BNAI, I'm trying to find something under 10 million, bro. Let's see
ones
here.
that I like too,
okay,
man.
yeah, BNAI is 2.7 million shares.
Smaller the better, baby.
Oh,
I know that a lot of people don't like small floats, but I'm not one of those people.
I don't think that's how usually the saying goes, but you know, let's see if that 13.5 can potentially come in. But we'll see here on RDW. Again, it's probably going to take. So why I want to make sure I know the float is because of like dollar volume. Like how much dollar volume will it take to move something around? If it's a lower float, then you probably need a lot less. And then if it's a higher float, you obviously need a lot more to kind of move some stuff around. And obviously the smaller caps, someone was saying under 20 mil. Yeah, I like under 20 mil as well. But when I was trading at home, I would look at things that were specifically in between 20 to 50 mil shares. Nothing really lower. That was kind of what I thought at the time was a sweet spot, just based off of just certain stats, which that doesn't really exist anymore. I haven't really tracked it anymore, but I like that zone as well. But yeah, 20 mil around that area is always an interesting area to kind of work with here. So. Got some large caps on, got some small caps or mid caps on. Got one mid cap, I would say RDW mid cap probably, right? 85 million.
RDW?
Yeah, RDW, the one you're involved.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the cap right now, 2.23 billion. Yeah, so this is definitely a mid cap.
Yeah, market cap. Yeah, I'm saying so. Yeah, share. So that's what I mean. Yeah, 20 to 50 mil market cap, not what do you call shares float. So we'll see how that potentially comes in. RDW has traded a lot. I've traded a decent amount. And the next thing I want to know, Sharif, is what is the short float on some of these, right? So I'm going to quickly check that out as well. So RDW, we can do that together here. Something I like to use every now and then is FinViz, financial visualizations.
Okay.
So RDW quickly, again, it's going to have a lot of stats here. So let's see what we got for the short float. RDW, 25%. Now, again, some of these stats are about 3 to 4 weeks old. Have to remember that. And then BNAI here as well, brand engagement. Let's see if they have an engaging short float. Wow, look at that. 45%, 45.5%. That's now we're talking, Sharif.
Get it, Obe.
Now we're talking.
My man.
That brand is definitely engaging. What do you got for us?
I got to tell them about PDSB Biotechnology trading on the Nasdaq under ticker PDSB. They're transforming how the immune system targets and fights cancer with the initial focus on HPV-16 positive head and neck cancer. HPV-16, I shouldn't laugh when I'm saying this. HPV-16 can cause head and neck cancer, and more people are facing these high-risk cancers, sadly, than ever before. HPV-16 positive head and neck cancers are projected to become the most common type of head and neck cancer in the United States in a few years. To learn more, you need to check out www.pdsbiotech.com. All right, here we go.
I was just laughing at the price action. I don't know what you were laughing at.
I was laughing at because I can't pronounce words oftentimes. But there goes BNAI. The breakout is on. Get it,
$15. Let's go.
All right, we're with you on this one, Obe, even though I really should be focusing on the other ones. We're going to have to give this one
Halt
room.
up.
Well,
is it time for that? Is that how these work? I don't know. I'm new to this. I'm new to this game. Do we halt up right now?
We need a little bit more, Obe, than what
Where
we're
are the halt bands at?
Where are they at? Yeah, well, you're going to be able to see them. Did you highlight them on your level 2?
I did not. Well,
gotta do that,
show me
baby.
how that's done here. I still haven't gone around. Whoa, there's 2,000.
Okay,
Is that
so
lots?
keeping
No,
an
that's
eye
the shares.
here. Seller at 20.
Yeah.
And
20,
there's
you're gonna eat through that.
25,
That's
there's
20,000
30.
shares.
Here we go, 35 showing up. Oh,
Slap 'em.
the strength is on. Here
Slap
we
'em
go.
up.
It's 40 now. The shorts might be in trouble here. So let's wet the beak here on BNAI, but dropping, back down into the mid-teens. Let's see popping right back on to the 30s. Let's post in the 50s here. I'll be able to tell you the halt bands in 1 second. But I'm seeing that QCLS is coming back down. My stop is break even on that one, so we don't have too much left on that, so I can kind of rest easy a little bit. Watching BNAI, looking for continuation into 16. There's going to be zig, there's going to be zag, but if we can clear the $0.50, that could be a good sign for whether or not we can make it through 16. But they're certainly selling here in the third to $0.25 that we can't seem to shake those sellers, but the buyers were coming up pretty strong into that, I want to say 15.25. They were supporting there, but here we go, dropping back down into the mid-teens. But I think you need to give this room. It's broken structure. That doesn't happen by accident. That's not happening for no reason. Whether or not, though, it's pulling you in for a bull trap, that's a different story. That often happens with some of these names. So we'll keep tabs on that, and we'll keep we'll report back to you guys. So what I'm seeing right now is a seller here. Oh, prior bar high 1536. Prior bar low, 1461. 10 EMA on the 5, 1482. Current bar, much lower than prior bar high. As I mentioned, 1536. But we have to give this one a little bit of room, unless if it loses prior bar or low, I'm out. It's as simple as that, because that'll be what I perceive to be a bit of a bull trap. So that's my look there. What are you seeing?
I'm seeing man-o-man here. Tagging both of us. Do you think there is any advantage to trading just one stock? No. I'm starting to think Arun was onto something, been trading Nasdaq singularly since November and haven't looked back. Yeah, man, I mean, if it definitely works for you and you've developed consistency and a playbook around that one asset, sure. But here's something. It's not going to show up every day. That's the thing, right? That playbook, that setup is probably not going to show up every day. You can be like, yeah, I only trade the Nasdaq, but those plays might show up, once or twice a month, or maybe every now and then. But here's the thing: why I love the stock market specifically, equities, is because there are inefficiencies all around. And if you have playbook setups that revolve around the core mechanics of price action, then it doesn't matter what the name is. It doesn't matter what the price is. It might matter some other things like the float, the manipulability. Of a certain stock. That might matter a little bit. But I personally think that S&B does a great job of highlighting over the years what has really worked for them, and they call it stocks in play. So stocks in play is basically something that, it's doing volume. There's a reason to be there, right? And I think that over time is probably, a time and tested method of consistency, that you're getting involved with stocks in play. Now, when I first started on the floor, I traded Amazon and Amazon only.
I remember very specifically.
That wasn't, I knew I was not going to I knew I was not going to be profitable on that. I knew I was not going to be necessarily consistent on that. My purpose was different. Purpose was more of understanding and getting to know and familiarizing myself with certain types of price action when it was in play, when it wasn't in play. Right, and that really, if I came in being like, I'm going to trade this and this only every single day, sure, you might become a local to that environment, but over time you realize that that environment is not necessarily, it's not necessarily a good thing to trade that thing every single day the same way, right? it's in different environments where, you know, like sometimes when Amazon would be in play, I'd be like, okay, well, you know, what are some of the playbooks that I can come up with when this thing is in play? It's doing relative volume, it's holding structure, it's acting in a certain kind of way, right? Gaining that familiarity is definitely advantageous, I would say so. But trading that same stock every single day, definitely, I don't think it is. But again, I could be very wrong. There are people who trade futures and futures only, like specifically just the Nasdaq,
right?
And you know, it's not always going to be the same. And you know, I met Arun just a couple of weeks ago. It was both Neil and I.
No way.
He came through at the poker night.
Oh,
and
I didn't even know
yeah,
that.
he's definitely looking at multiple different things, right? He's looking at different.
How's he doing, man?
He's doing well.
He's doing well, eh?
Yeah.
Is he still gymming? I'm gonna send him a
I
message.
think so. Yeah, definitely.
Good.
Definitely looked like it. For
He
sure.
lives in my
Yeah.
area, man. I gotta see that guy again, man. It's been a couple of years.
No, it was great. It was great meeting him again. But yeah, no, I'm pretty sure he's not only trading the Nasdaq, right? He's trading some other other
trade
futures
the ES.
and contracts as well.
I think he was mostly ES at the time.
Okay,
and
yeah,
it wasn't even
again adaptability,
MES.
switching it
MES.
around,
It was ES.
changing it up, right? You can, like getting stuck on one thing is not necessarily, I think, the best way to go. But you know, I could very well be wrong. I'm very new and fresh to this game relative to some of the greats who have come before me and some of the greats that are around here as well. So you know, it's that's just my 2 cents, right? I think that's something you need to think about as well. And if it's been working for you extremely well, then you got to figure out, like, what is that? What's specific? Like, get specific. Make those playbooks. Look at the market environment, right? Look, markets have there's a sense of cyclicality that comes in markets. There's different market regimes as well, right? There's something can be like, you know, raising rates versus cutting rates, right? That's a different environment.
Yep.
Quantitative easing versus tightening. That's a different environment. Right? So certain types of playbooks, certain types of strategies, they come and go relative to the market environment. So if something stops to work or something starts to work again, you got to ask yourself, okay, like what's happening? Let's look around. Let's look at the market. Let's look at the breadth. Let's see what's going on here, and then really hone in on why things are specifically working. Right? So I don't know. I don't really have any sort of solid advice on just like, okay, one ticker or anything like that. Whoa, there goes RDW getting slapped to the downside here.
37.
So
I've moved my stop up to break even
lower,
on that
but,
one.
you know, I guess sizing.
But that is proper technical levels. Look at the breakout level 1330.
Seems like the IPO is open. I'm getting just in my ear here that we had.
I didn't even know we had an IPO.
Let's check out what the IPO is.
What's the IPO?
Let's go to the IPO calendar. There was an IPO today. Calendar. IPO listings, what was it today? It was, today is what? The, it is not, hold on one second. I gotta figure out what date is it today. Today is the 23rd. Okay, so we had EQPT, I think that's what it was, about, okay, wow, that's pretty decently sized. Let's take a quick look at EQPT, guys. EQPT, that's on the Nasdaq. Nope, it's on the NYSE. Yes, it is. It is on the, oh, hold on, might have been NASDAQ. My charts are lagging here. NQ, come on, populate. I don't know why.
All right.
I think you might be better off with this because, again, I am trading in the sim. I could have some issues with that EQPT. If you want to check that out,
I just have to resolve this trade. So QCLS is breaking out. There we go. Finally, we've got 68s. Now it's showing me 99s. Here we go. Into 6. Great hold of the 10 EMA on the 5. There's 6. Seller at 6,601 flashed momentarily. Watch for the dip trade now into the 90s, high 80s, and then through 6 again. It may or not happen. Let's keep an eye out here. And this is, if you're in it already, this is possibly another spot to add. You get into that whole dollar level, a lot of people take profits, shorts get in, it dips back down 10, 15 pennies, and then goes through 6. Here it is. Here's the mid 80s. Do we hold the mid 80s? I'm going to continue to watch here. A good move, but a 6 rejection would be trouble because it would be a markedly lower high, and then we could get that lower high, flat bottom break structure through 550, which is the volume weighted average price. Continuing to watch, mid-80s showing up. Do we have a buy opportunity and a move back into 6? 90s again, into the mid-90s. Can we get the high 90s? Knock on the door. There it is, 98. So this is what I was talking about here. Let's see. Do we get clean continuation through 6, though? You're not able to do it now. And in fact, the seller has moved down a penny from $6 into 99. So this is something that we often see. It's not usually a seller. It's typically an algorithm which is adjusting their order. BNAI is going to stop me out. I don't know why it already hasn't stopped me out. It blew through my stop. Unreal, man. These stops are fantastic. They work great. All right, so keeping an eye over here, back into QLCS. Let's focus on this one now. $6 on the door, watching for 598. Yeah, that was on me, by the way, guys. I should have given it a wider spread on BNAI, knowing that it was pretty volatile. That means basically from the stop price to my limit price. So there's a trigger price, which is your stop price, and then the limit price. I have to give it a bit of a buffer. Otherwise, you got to use a market order, and I don't like using market orders. All right, continuing to watch $6. Here we go on QCLS into 602, but that seller is still staunching. There it goes into 610. That was a perfect buying opportunity there in the mid 80s, low 90s. That's what I was trying to tell you guys. And there it goes into another area high. Now let's set up here at the $0.25. We're going to set up at the quarter. We're going to set up at the third. And then we're going to look to wet the beak into the half. The half is going to be a break of the high of the day because the third of the dollar is the high, right? 633 on the dot is the high. So by definition, we'll have to clear that to get the $0.50 print, but we're going to throw them on there anyway. Into 6 again we go. Let's watch now. Are there going to be buyers in and around 6? Are they going to step in to kind of protect that whole dollar psychological support? We'll have to wait and see. Buyer at 11. Yeah, that's a big buyer at 11, by the way. Continuing to watch over here. No more prints here. We're not taking any more prints until we break through that quarter and then the third, and then we're waiting north of the half. Now, because I've got 68s on, I've got to ask myself the question here, do I want to get more into the dip, into the 6 or 5 mid-90s? That's kind of the question that I'm going through in my mind right now. I don't really have a plan for it. Watch, let's see. This is the $6 dip that we just talked about. Are the buyers stepping in? For the moment, they are, right? And there is the 6 buyer there. So aggressive buying at 6, but are the sellers going to overwhelm us? Well, they're doing it right now. Into 598 we go, right back above 6. So good continuation here on QCLS. This might be a dip trade opportunity. Let's take an opportunity to do that. So we're going to add into this position here into 6, which will, of course, fundamentally change my cost basis, but that's the cost of doing business. Let's go ahead now and wait at 15s. We're going to wait to wet the beak there. So a lot of zig, a lot of zag at this $6 level. So what's my out? Well, I can't base it on prior bar low because prior bar low takes me to 565. My average is 78. So this is always an area where I struggle with, especially when prior bar low is so much farther south than where we're trading right now. 10 EMA on the 5 is basically just a couple of shekels above prior bar low. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it to break even. So 574, 575 is where the 10 EMA on the 5 is. My average is 78, so that I can stomach. So we're going to go 574 on the last remaining amount, and then we'll give it a little bit of room over here. So I have to give it more room given what happened with BNAI. So there we go. We'll do just that, and we'll wet the beak a little bit over here, see if we can get a little bit more on this one. So QCLS through 6, but not a clean break and hold. So we'll have to see how this one resolves, but 6 break nonetheless. Obi.
Yes, sir. So yeah, that got stopped out of both of those. I saw RDW, and I was like, I'm not even going to let it get to the stop. I'm just going to hit out there for about, like, I think, what was it, about roughly 20 pennies there on RDW. BNAI comes in, stops me out below 14, but kind of testing it again here at the 14. Let's see if we make some higher lows. Again, don't really trade these that often, so just gonna take some shots, see what I can do on this, and try to get used to some of this price action here as well, because I think eventually I will have to kind of start getting used to some of these. And start trading them a little bit more frequently, like Sharif does here. We got a super chat from Jeep Limited.
Love this.
Thoughts,
I love this guy.
Thoughts on Zeta?
Catherine Zeta-Jones?
Zeta?
What?
Like Is that a ticker? ZETA?
Person, isn't it? Remember Catherine Zeta-Jones?
You mean Zeta Global Holdings?
I mean Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Let's take a look at this stock right here. ZETA.
See her in traffic? Pretty lady.
I have not. But okay, doing some relative volume in the pre-market. Some strong action on the day today. No idea what these guys do here. So let's take a quick look at higher time frame. Let's see what we're looking like on the weekly here as we come in. Okay, all right. This thing has some moves. It's got some legs. Got some legs. For sure. Let's see. Float is 213 million with a market cap of almost 5.5 billion, 5.46 I see there. So that's looking quite nice. I mean, I don't know. I haven't really participated in this name. I don't think ever. But good look there. A couple days of bidding, consolidating at the highs after a strong opening drive there, holding well above VWAP, I would say. And 22s is that consolidation low. So we kind of had a strong push. And then this consolidation is what I'm looking at right here. Sideways action, 22s to 22.34. So yeah, that's the look on Zeta today. But a couple days of bidding. Yesterday, strong bid closes near the highs. Today, strong bid. Let's see where we end up closing. But this is also, Sharif, coming off of a downtrend break, which kind of stands out to me right away. We had some strong selling back-to-back days, pretty clean on the way down, and then breaks that trend and we catch a little bit of bidding. You can see here, chop, 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 breaks the trend, bids up into the close. Next day, bids up off open, grinds up to end of day, and then once again today, looking similar to that of yesterday, but it's only been half the day, Sharif, so anything and everything can happen going into the end of the day. But that's the look there on Zeta.
I love the comments, guys. They're fantastic stuff, man. You guys are is distracted by the topic. You got, what's his name? Other Zinc agreed. And then you've got, who else, man? Durant Gordon, he's chiming in. She's before Obi's time, says Noisy. Who else, man? You guys are jokes. Random Oddities got it. Charity Anita, she knows what's up. Miss Catherine, shout out to Byron Hart. Yeah, you guys know what's going on, man. Shout out to CZJ. There we go. I can get it. I promise. All right, guys. Looks like we're losing 6 over here. I'm going to give it, now that we've opened up a new candle, the prior bar low is 86. My average is 81, so I'm moving up my stop from break even into prior bar low. So we're going to give this a couple of shekels in case, we get caught offside. So the QLCS having trouble decidedly clearing 6, but hey, man, it's still above the 10 EMA on the 5. If this drops down into that 10 EMA at 5 3/4, I'll get back in, even if I get stopped out. So I'm going to keep my eye out on this one. RDW is finding some support here at a predictable area at 1310, which is the 50 EMA on the 5, which doesn't typically feature in my analysis. But hey, when it shows support there prior, something to keep an eye out for there. But I don't really like the look of RDW at the moment with this lower high, at least, not even coming back to test the high of the day. So it's a lower high, and it could be a flat bottom break through 13. So you need to be alive to that as well. So we're going to keep an eye out on that one. BNAI is not tradable under my system at the moment. It is below VWAP and kind of losing the bid with that lower high into 1540, I want to say, topped out at. So really, QCLS is the one that I'm focusing on. But you guys mentioned AUST. Not one that I had my eye on, but doing some volume now, lately anyway. AUST is the ticker. There is that, okay, so this one had a move right at the open, right at 940. We got into that 280. We cleared it. So a buy zone for me is going to be 255 to 265 based upon where the 10 EMA on the 5 is. This is not bad. This is not bad at all. So who are we going to take off? We're going to take off Move because Move has kind of lost the entire bid. We're going to put AUST on there because this could be an interesting dip trade, especially with the volume coming back in. Now, what's interesting about this one is it did basically no volume during the midday. During I want to say from 10 o'clock onwards, and then the volume started coming in at 20 after. So we'll see how this one ends up working out. Not too bad there. All right, got stopped out for the last remaining amount on QCLS, but we'll take that break even. It's coming into the 10 EMA. If it holds the 10 EMA, I'm going to get back into this one. The 10 EMA is 575, by the way. So this one, QCLS, not a clean breakthrough 6, but we'll make someone back on that one. So see how this one acts. What do you got?
Yeah, no, I'm just watching some of these. The market looks like it's kind of turning here. So got stopped out of that softy short, and softy is extremely strong, but the market is starting to turn here a little bit. You can see broke below some of this chop that we were having here. So the TQs is working, and the Apple is working, and at the same time, I saw a little bit of Amazon as well. I said, might go shopping on this deal that I'm seeing as we consolidated near the highs. Let me just pull this in so I can talk about what I'm looking at here. Consolidation near the highs there. Can't really get past that 240 with any real distinction. And you can see here, let's go down to a 1 minute. None of these candles can really kind of make it above 240. So I'm like potentially held offer there. And then the market starts to turn as well. So I'm looking at this consolidation low 239s coming in potentially. That's where we had a bit of a bid last time. Let's see if we can come back into this intraday support and see if it acts, if this area acts as a bit of support once again here as well. So with the market turning, I don't know if I want to get right back into softy just yet, but 270.25s is the high right now. A bit of some toppy action there on the 3 minute. Let's go to a higher time frame. Let's go to a higher time frame. Still chopping up, making higher highs and higher lows. So I'll leave it alone for now. Where is the next trade? It seems like Commodity King wants me to take a look at Mara. So let's take a look at Mara here real quickly. M-A-R-A. Wow. Okay. Okay, that's a 1 minute chart. That's why I was like, okay, what's going on there? So strong bid on the day today. So it seems like some of these miners might be catching a bit of a bid, but stuck in a range. That's I have been watching Mara over the past few weeks, and all it's been doing is just chop, chop, chop in this range that we've been coming into. So on the weekly, what does this look like? Pretty strong downtrend, right? So why am I watching it for the past couple of weeks? We've had lower highs, and now we're starting to consolidate underneath all of this structure that we had that was holding roughly $15 with an extreme low down here at around $10 here. So we slapped down, lower highs, wicks on the week, and then pushing back into some prior potential support areas here. So $10 I like. I'm just watching it to see what Mara does with that $10 level at the same time. So Mara, good look on Mara, but today catching a bit of a bid within that bigger picture area here all day long as well, man. Look at this. That's lasted almost 3 hours, that bid, Sharif, on Mara. Let's take a quick look at Riot. I don't really watch this name too much, but Riot, similar story here, strong bid to the upside. What is Bitcoin up to? Is that also bidding up? Maybe, perhaps. We'll find out right now. Hey, there you go. Some similar action. 88 4s at the lows and 91 1s at the highs there on Bitcoin. You know what I haven't looked at in a long time?
What?
Dogecoin.
Doge.
Let's see how my Doge is doing. Oh, you like that? Man, you like that? Yeah, you saw that?
Yeah. What is that?
Yeah.
Is that Trading View thing?
Yeah, it's a streaming thing. Whenever you pull up the Dogecoin, there's a little Doge that
real
comes.
Well lately.
Yeah, look at this slap right here. I definitely got some alerts on this push down here a few days ago there, and that was on Saturday, January 18th. And that got slapped all the way from 13 pennies down to 11 pennies for a decent move. That's about 15-20% move there on the Doge. So keeping a close eye on that one as well. Look at the weekly on this one, man. Absolute getting wrecked to the downside. Look at that, discounts here happening. And I think that people were talking about on the floor earlier today. They're just like how crypto might be selling off because of quantum computing. Because
a lot of people have been saying that for a while.
Yeah, but here's the thing: AI is accelerating at such a fast pace now that quantum horizon might be a lot sooner than.
But I don't understand why it would sell off. So all of them get mined. All right.
So as soon as quantum comes out, you can crack the code.
But can't they update the code? I did research on this before. They apparently it's like fighting quantum with quantum.
They could, but you know how much effort it would take.
It's been a minute since I've looked into it.
I don't know. I don't think you can really edit the Bitcoin source code. Shout out to our friend Satoshi Nakamoto.
Don't they do updates though?
I haven't done my research on that. All I know is that quantum can definitely break crypto and bring it to its knees. So right now, the whole crypto, like Bitcoin thing is that, you do those calculations and then it's encrypted.
Exactly.
But that cryptography can easily be broken by a strong quantum computer. And those are the fears, right? I don't know how long it's going to take for that to come into fruition, but I guess that's one of the things that were being said earlier this morning. So something that I do want to consider and keep in mind at the same time. Maybe we do get that 80% flush.
I heard something different, though. I'm not going to go, like, I want to pontificate like I understand, but I did hear that there was certain safeguards that they were planning for quantum, but we were not there yet. So God, who knows? Guys,
we got to prepare.
Savvy. Only the savvy, no, of course. Savvy Canadian traders looking to boost their exposure can now tap into the Nasdaq 100 and S&P 500 with Beta Pro 3x daily leveraged ETFs, and they feature, guys, built-in FX hedging. This aims to amplify short-term market moves, minimizing the impact of those pesky currency swings. So, whether you're feeling bullish or bearish, these ETFs, they are built for active day traders that are ready to take on the market. You need, though, to read the full risk disclosure in the prospectus at betapro.ca before investing. Shout out to the great folks there. All right, so two stocks that are doing fantastic right now. Both of them are blocked on our system, IRE and AUST. They're rocketing up, whether this one is just, a perennial holder of the 10 EMA on the 5. IRE's up, I want to say, almost 20%, 19 3/4, and then AUST is just rocketing up through 3. It looks like a short squeeze here on volume, mind you. This current 5-minute candle has 700,000 shares and counting. We have another minute for this candle to close. It's up 63%. Fantastic flat top breakthrough 280. The $3 level was no match for the buyers here, that psychological level of resistance. So AUST, great rounded bottom off that volume weighted average price, really taking out the sellers at 2.5. That was kind of your first inclination that this could be strong, and then really the last of the levels, 280, which was the implied balance high at 950. That one got blown through, so 324 high and looking to do more damage. I got stopped out of QCLS for the last remaining amount, and this one just lost the volume weighted average price. Alas, it wicked below it, and now it's looking to hold above it. So an entry on this one could be above prior bar high, which takes us into 565. So you could put in a breakout trade for 566. But this is showing its hand a little bit over here. The lower highs, we couldn't quite make it up on that last attempt at the high at around 1230. We couldn't make it back up to the high at 633. So this one's showing you that the sellers could be more in control at the moment than the buyers. What's this one called again? RDW, finding support at the 50 EMA on the 5 that we were talking about, but this one is also suffering from that same affliction, which is lower highs. Now, this one's got a bit of a different tune, though, because it's got some higher lows as well. So it's got a bit of a compression pattern forming here. Now, how this resolves, your guess is as good as mine. I'd be more bullish if we could take out prior area high. That comes as if we can take out 1360. So a good move here. Expect resistance, though, on RDW, likely at 13 1/3, just given that we topped out there multiple times earlier before we got into that 1360 pop that we were involved in. So RDW looking okay, putting in some higher lows, but it's also got lower highs. And I'm going to keep my eye here on QCLS. If it can take out prior bar high, I'll just trade it off VWAP, and we'll see what we can weasel up to this time around. So let's go ahead and put that breakout trade. All right, so we're going to go just like that. And then let's see what this one has to offer us. There we go.
There it is. There it is.
And then we'll put into 16.9. So let's see what we get there. Maybe I need to give it a bit more room in case it gets a bit spready. So not too bad of a look. TMC, somebody was saying, the metals company. This is one of my favorite stocks, guys. I gave you guys this one, I think, a couple of months now. This is a company that deals with mineral extraction from the bottom of the ocean floor. They've patented this kind of extractor that goes onto the ocean floor, sucks up all these like small nodules, which are jam-packed with rare earths and critical minerals, and then they suck them back up to the surface through this, like, I guess, kind of not well. In that case, it would be going up, Katina, man, but I know you're short the TQQQs. So it sucks it back up, and then it takes it to the surface. The only thing that this company was waiting for, TMC, the metals company, was approval from the American regulator, and it seems like maybe that is going to come sooner rather than later. Today they got some love from H.C. Wainwright, which upgraded the company, I believe, to a buy, or they kept the buy rating, but they did boost the price target to $11.75 from $7.50. Here it is, permitting progress. Let's see what's going on here. Has announced the filing of the application for a mining license with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, which is responsible for the U.S. in the U.S. for such applications. The first ever of such submissions. It submits the previous indicated application to cover 65,000 square kilometers, which is larger than West Virginia, up from the previous 25,000 square kilometers. The application is supported by the company's previous environmental studies, resource assessments, mining tests, and engineering development. So this is a company, full disclosure, that I'm involved in. And I feel like it's a different play than MP, whereas MP, you know, is that traditional mining company that's vertically integrated, which is why I'm in MP, because of the vertical integration. This is a completely different take at the rare earths. So do your own research, obviously, before ever investing any money. But there goes AUST, rocketing back up into 336, very strong, up 70 3/4. This one is him at the moment, but it is an AMX stock, so it's not permissible on our system at the moment unless the Neil or Sean or Brendo submits a ticket. But you know, usually by the time we get the ticket back, this one may be fading back down. So we'll have to, we'll call it out for you guys, but the technicals look fantastic here on AUST. Trade it carefully though, guys, because it's an Amex stock, and that's like the bamboozling exchange, quite frankly. And by the way, if this halts, we won't know what the theoretical auction price is. Only Nasdaq stocks, you'll be able to see that. We got to pause for a second. We got breaking news at the big desk.
ASTI pushing a little bit higher here with some speculation involving the Department of Defense. The CEO of the company reportedly said that they have had meetings with several department members, or I guess several departments within the overall department. So either way, ASTI with some potential government talks here. Good look for this stock. The company's name is Ascent Solar Technologies, again, ticker ASTI. Back to you.
All right.
What do you got, Oj?
Yeah, ASTI. We'll take a quick look at that one. Here right now, I just got to fix this wick on Softy.
You want me to take over for a bit?
It's fine. It's fine. Sometimes these wicks get in the way of.
They get in the way, bro.
Reading the stuffs there, but yeah, no. BNAI kind of consolidating near the lows. You can see the market did flush quite nicely here at the same time. So let's take a quick look at how that TQs is going. TQQQ, what's up? What are you up to? So right here. That was quite nice. On the break of trend, it's coming in quite nicely as of right now. Microsoft was looking at this one, participating once again here. As again, the market looks like it's breaking out. Microsoft might be the only thing that's really holding this market up as of right now. At the same time, Apple I really, really liked initially because the market did try to bid up, but we got lower highs below that 250. So that could be a little, that was a little interesting to me. What else do I have on here? Let's see. That's not the one. This one right here. Okay, so this one linked to anything? TQs, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon as well. Amazon I just talked about as well. And then BNAI, man. BNAI flipped on that one. BNAI. I don't know how much shorts are on this, but again, want to reiterate that trading in the sim today. That's me. And just taking some reps on some of these small caps, because I've been saying to Shri for the longest time. I'm just like, yeah, I want to get involved. I want to get a feel for how they move, and I'm definitely not going to do that on live at the same time. That's not why I'm trading on the sim today. I'm trading on the sim today because I shot myself in the foot this morning. That's a whole different story. But you know, happens sometimes. Just make sure it doesn't happen again or too often. But you know, we were talking about. Routine. Yes. Routine is very important. I'm very sympathetic today. My routine, Trader 6 saying you're trading in the sim because they force you to. Absolutely not.
Hey, not at all.
I would.
Not at all.
That would not be my choice personally, but I'm trading in the sim because I am shut down on my live account. We have daily stops here. So at a prop firm, every single day, there is a limit to how much you can lose. And if you hit that limit, you are done for the day. You pretty much, that your account gets locked for 24 hours and you cannot trade anymore.
And they whip your legs too.
Yeah, exactly.
That, right?
And they take you out back, and then you should see some of the scores. No, I'm joking. No, that's how it works. So daily risk limits, if you hit those, then you're done for the day. And that's a way that the company or any sort of firm manages their risk, right? So, you know, it is what it is. So people asking me, what did I lose it on? I lost it on Intel this morning. I came in hella late, and this is why I'm talking about routine. My routine, the feng shui was thrown off hella hard. There were like 4 different stops on the subway, getting delayed, and I was just like, I was gonna come in like perfectly in time, a good 20-30 minutes at the very least before the open. I do a lot of my prep on my way in, so I like to time it like that. Just come in, grab a coffee, you know what you're going to be doing, you have your game plan ready to go, and I come in and I miss the first like 5 minutes-ish, and I'm just like,
Intel is just
not so happy, a little bit FOMO, like I missed this move, I missed that move, you know, I start going into a mental spiral. I'm not really in the best mindset to trade, and then in that kind of mindset, you make bad decisions. So exactly. It's just like once you realize, you refocus, you kind of you assess what you did wrong, and you get back to it. You move on, and this is exactly what I'm doing. So right now, just putting in the reps and taking some reps on as I told you guys before, on some small caps, because I am looking to what do you call it?
Intel's at a huge level, guys. $45 on the dot here.
That one.
Huge size, Katina Man is saying. Let's take a look at that on the last trading screen over here.
45. There's a lot of size on 45s here, man.
All right, there we go. There's big boy size. 4501 seems to be a monster level.
5,000 lots sitting on 5,000 lots sitting on 45s here. So, but here's the thing, man. I got involved when where's Intel right here? I got involved right here in the morning on this push. And then kind of held the bag a little bit down to this low. I'm like, all right, well, I'm totally wrong down here at the prior low. So when it comes in, I'm like, all right, well, now I have to take the stop. But I was long from 47s, gave it to 46s and some change. Unnecessary, irrelevant, don't do that. There's the breakdown on BNAI, Sharif, so that's coming in quite nicely. Again, the market pulling in as well. And I did, you know what, this is good. And I was talking about halts before. Oh, that was almost a halt, was it? I don't know. What was it? How do you put on the bands again? On this one?
I don't know. Neil did it for me.
Oh, okay, all right. So
but that's a good hold of 45 there, guys.
I can figure that out here. So yeah, 14. It's tried for the 14 again. I'm just taking reps. I've never really seriously traded this or small caps like this before. So just taking the reps there. We'll see what 45 does here with that size on Intel, but a slow, steady bleed on a forward guidance that wasn't necessarily as expected, I guess. So that's coming in on the day today, pulling back into some prior levels we might not have seen for the past couple of days. So market tailwind definitely not helping with that one there on Intel, but BNAI looking like it's coming in quite nicely. Let's see, we broke this prior low here as well. I tried for the long here up at 15s. Comes in, I gave it wide, Sharif. On the initial push, I'm like, I'm gonna size accordingly. I'll give it roughly $1. That dollar slapped down, slipped me an extra 30, 40 pennies. I was like, all right, I see you.
I see you, sir.
I'm like, okay, get involved again in this really tight consolidation. I'm like, okay, let's see what we do here. Just a chop, 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 chop. Market's pulling back in here as well. And then buyers can't really take it up. I'm like, okay, well, I like that. Not for the long, though, so flip game strong, maybe. We'll see how this one pans out. But I was just like, all right, I can just risk against this 14 and then look for the pull back into some of these prior levels. Maybe some straggling longs from the morning session are still holding on, looking for more. But we pretty much went to 18. I wouldn't call it a blow-off top, but definitely a break of trend and a switch in hands in terms of the participants involved there on BNAI. So we'll see if that one potentially comes in. Yeah, it's knocking against that size there, Sean, but not really eating it up that much. You gotta Oh, is it? Oh, right. It is SSR. So anybody and everybody who is punching into that size is actually holding inventory. So it might be a little, oh, boom, bye-bye. There it is. There it is. Wow, 45? Beautiful. Yeah, it lost 45, went straight to 85s here. So yeah, some real sellers coming in here on Intel through that 45 level. Let me pull up the book for you guys here at the same time so you guys can see what we're looking at here. So 44.90, so they give you instantly about 15 pennies, to 15 to 20 pennies roughly there on that breakdown. The wick down I have here was at 44.80s, so that's potentially coming in here at the same time. But yeah, definitely shows you gives you some information. Because like I said before, players that can hit the book are people who are already holding a long inventory, not necessarily like if I want to sell it short into that level and I don't really have any shares long, I'm not going to be able to push into that, and that is the short sale restriction rule on Intel. So beautiful, beautiful trend to the downside, holding lower lows as well. This 14.5. That's what messed me up this morning, Sharif. This 14.5, I was looking for that to go, but guess what? That was a very strong reason to sell when it knocked against, 47.5. When it knocked against 47.5 on Intel and then pulls back in, double tops, and then sellers reclaim VWAP, and then we trade below this open session low, and then we make a lower high at 16.5s and then 45.5. So it seems like every dollar down, a bit of a key level here. So the question I'm asking now, 45.5s held, do we go to 44.5s on this breakdown? That's the question that I'm asking here. The market catching a little bit of a bid as of right now. All right. It seems like Softy is relentless, man. Softy.
All right, brother. We're gonna start the news now.
All right.
So let's get going. I think Sia is ready to go. So Assassino, if we can, brother, we're gonna start the news.
Thank you so much. Hey guys, welcome. So we're going to quickly start off with Intel today. As we know, Intel did post their earnings yesterday, and the report adjusted EPS of 0.15, beating expectations of 0.08, obviously, but the revenue came in at 13.7 billion versus the 13.4 billion, which was projected. And also, shares fell 13% after hours, but currently shares are down 17.32%. Intel also posted a net loss of $600 million, which is widening from a $100 million loss in the year-ago quarter. CEO Lip-Bu Tan also emphasized that improving manufacturing yields as a key priority, but they are noting that meeting internal plans might remain below desired levels for currently for now. Management also signaled that the customers for the next generation 14.8 technology are expected in the second half of the year. What do you have to say about this, guys?
So this is super interesting because that's what I think we were really looking for. The 18A node, really the only bottleneck that exists there is the yield, right? And the yield is basically all the wafers that they put into the system, what percentage of those wafers are usable as chips after the production process. That was a problem with Intel. Their yields were super low relative to what Taiwan Semi was doing. But the 18A node is not the problem here. They have customers for the 18A node, which is in fact what Panther Lake is based on. That's their new CPU that they're going to ship on these PCs, these laptops and whatever. Kind of like the i5, the i9, the i3. It's a new one called Panther Lake. It's the 14A node, which is the problem. Analysts on the call were expecting that management was going to announce new customers for that 14A node. They didn't get it. In fact, some people, or I think on the call, David Zinzer or Lip-Bu Tan was saying basically we may announce them into next year or later this year or into next year. I don't think analysts were looking for that. They were certainly looking for some customer announcements to know that that Ohio fab, which is much delayed, is actually going to have a customer, an anchor client that they can kind of rely on. Now, there are rumors out there that Apple is eyeing the 14A node. So what did they do? I mean, Intel, they kind of had a bit of a silver lining. They're like, all right, look, we're not going to announce any customers right now, but what we're going to do is we're going to hold an analyst day towards the end of the year. And during that analyst day, they didn't announce what they're going to say, but basically the implication is you wouldn't hold an analyst day, have to face the music and face the questions about the 14A node unless you had something to announce or something to say. So everything is super speculative. right now about this 14A note, but the fact of the matter is they continue to struggle in the foundry business, whether it's yields with the 18A or customers for the 14A. They need to prove themselves, and I don't think that this is what the market expected, and that's why we're down 17%, Obi.
Yeah, definitely not something the market expected there, and pulling back into some of these prior levels we haven't seen for the past, I guess, 2 or 3 days, maybe from last week as well. You can see we traded in and around this area, 45s. January 12th. So we stepped up onto that level. But here's the thing, just support and resistance. This thing, I think, honestly, Sharif, this is healthy for the stock. Okay. Right? Even though, you know, forward outlook, not the great, they're still developing their thing. But strong sell-offs that hold prior resistance levels, I think is definitely healthy because that builds that stepping up structure.
100%.
Right?
Agree.
So that's the question that I'm asking. I liked the push to 50. We actually pushed all the way to 55. And guess what? I love the short at 55s. Right? But for a pullback into 50s, and then we slam even further into off of their earnings. So let's go quickly to the daily chart and see how this thing's been cooking up. You can see here, we've had bouts of selling, Sharif. We've had bouts of selling even after this gap up hold, right? This is the trend that we're looking at. And was this a little extended? I think so, definitely. All the way from the low of the range to the top of the range, 50% within 27 days. Oh. Yeah, might be a little too far, too fast. And guess what? In that prior level, we break that prior level and pull right back in to where sellers were dominant in the passes as well. So what I'm looking for now is a higher low.
I like that.
Right? Intel is definitely, like, I honestly, I looked at the earnings report and I was like, it might be time for me to be, this is confirmation if we start to hold higher lows. I mean, people are in from 29s, 30s. For sure. But for continuation, I really do like this if the price action can show that we can hold up some of these levels. Right?
I'd be looking for a trend structure hold there, so that area, that previous area high. No, the one right there.
This one.
Yeah, if it holds there.
So that's around 44. Let's get specific. What is that price right there? That's $44, $44.02, right? But what I like to do as well is throw on some anchorage as well, because I want to know how people are potentially positioned on this breakout.
I like that.
Oh boy. Look at that. So, you know, I already have my anchors that mean a lot to me. And you can see right here that aggressive red. Yeah. That's the ultimate. If it gets down here, oh boy, am I willing to buy a lot more. But you know, so we'll wait and see if this thing actually pans out going into the end of the year. But it was making its way up to structure, pulling back in, healthy pullback. Earnings, of course, can be one of the strongest catalysts in the market.
No question about it.
Right. So when the forward outlook is a little underwhelming, yeah, an overextension can definitely sell off pretty aggressively.
All right, Adara, give us your take on Intel.
So with INTC, I think it's interesting, as much as we're talking here about some concerns about the foundry business, you know what was up year over year, and the only things that were up year over year? Data and the foundry business. So this was really surprising to me, and I said during our aftermarket show, but right before the report came out, that I would like kind of anything in terms of growth when it comes to foundry. But here's the issue. With growth in foundry and the data and AI center and AI, you get tons of year-over-year declines in everything else. I mean, total Intel products only down like 1%. That's virtually flat. But client computing down 7%, and all other down a mind-boggling and eye-popping 48%. And I triple-checked this number because I was so shocked that could be the number, but indeed it is. So I think that is kind of, I think, a concerning look here for INTC. We're going to have to wait and see if Lip-Bu-Tan and David Zinsner and team are able to pull out some kind of customer here for that 14A, because, again, what David Zinsner reportedly said, according to Christina Partsinevelos of CNBC, was that they're not going to really get any customers necessarily, right, or they're not going to expect any announcements here until the second quarter, or second half of the year. So if they get those announcements, that's a great look. I am not quite as optimistic to think that just because we have some kind of company event means there's going to be an announcement, but we're going to have to wait and see if that does come to pass, because if so, that would be a good look. Unfortunately, under new CEO Lip-Bu-Tan, who's been there for less than a year, still kind of flat to slight year-over-year declines for Intel revenue. However, Lip-Bu-Tan has made the stock go up more than 100% higher since he started his tenure. That infographic's going to be out soon. I'll put it in the chat for you guys. But yeah, I think it's kind of a mixed bag for me, and I think it's also tough because as much as the foundry is the focus, that was never Lip-Bu-Tan's interest. And he made that very clear. So now he's kind of in this place where he's foisted into this position where he has to do the foundry business. I don't know if that'll ever be a great fit, but he's clearly proven himself to be a good leader. He's a great businessman. He's the negotiator. He's making the talks with Trump, making the talks there with Jensen Huang. And Trump initially wanted to get him ousted from the company. And he turned that into a deal. So Le Boutin takes lemons and he makes them into giant green lemonades. So I do respect him for that. It is unfortunate that he's kind of forced to be part of this business that he doesn't necessarily really respect. And by that, I mean foundry. So that'll kind of be interesting to see how that unfolds. But other than that, yeah, I mean, stock certainly not liking any of what we got today.
And I want to add as well that the Ohio fab and the delays that are coming from the Ohio fab is not because the company doesn't have money, not because they're not, getting a lot of support from the state government in Ohio. It's because they're trying to run what their CEO is calling a disciplined approach. He's not going to complete the Ohio fab until that anchor client for the 14A comes. So as much as we don't want to talk about, Intel being that foundry, or the CEO doesn't want it to be the foundry business, this is why people are investing in it. This is why the U.S. government took a stake in it, so they can reshore the chips locally and not be dependent on Taiwan. We know that 80 or 90% of the most advanced chips are still created in Taiwan. That creates, obviously, a strategic vulnerability for the United States. So as much as the CEO doesn't want it, the money coming in because they want to do that locally in the United States. So that's kind of my take, and that is sort of supported by how they're kind of approaching the Ohio fab. And now we were talking about late 27, early 28 when the Ohio fab would be done. Now we're talking about 2030. So again, that disciplined approach comes at a cost in that you don't have that anchor client. Now again, as I mentioned earlier, some people are floating out the rumors that Apple is going to be that anchor client for the 14A, but we already saw this. Apple doesn't want to commit to them, and they're going to use them for the most basic M chips that they've got, right? And this is kind of, I almost feel like Apple is forced into this by the administration so that they could be reshoring some of the supply chain home. And, that's how they were able to kind of get tariff exemptions. You got to give a little to take a little. See ya.
Thank you. Let's move over to Nvidia. As we know, Nvidia's CEO Jensen Huang has taken previous trips to China multiple times over the past year, also previous lunar year trips, but he's also planning a visit to China ahead of the mid-February lunar year this year. He's expected to attend internal Nvidia events and also meet potential customers in China. And China, as we know, has previously accounted for 20% of Nvidia's data center revenue, making China specifically very strategically important. Also, recent reports have suggested that China may not approve purchases of Nvidia's H200 chips for limited use cases, only such as research. But also recent reports and sources at Bloomberg have told that China is telling Alibaba and other tech firms to ready for the Nvidia H200 orders. So what do you have to say about that, guys?
Shocked here that, we can't seem to get any sort of accuracy whether or not the H200 is allowed in China or not, because the Ministry of Commerce, their spokesman said, we're unaware of any such restrictions, but the restrictions that we're talking about and that we reported to you guys was basically customs officials were told not to allow the H200 in China. Or very, very few licenses were being given. And the tech companies, a lot of people were reporting CEOs or higher level management were being approached by the regulator saying you can only use the H200 in very limited cases. One of the cases was academic research and some other things. And then we know for sensitive issues, that was a blanket ban, things to do with the military, very sensitive biotech research as well. So it's we don't even really know our elbow from our shoulder on this, because every time we get conflicting statements from different parts of the Chinese government, and you can just understand how frustrating that must be for Nvidia, who has to actually secure the supply chain so they can send it to China. And it's not a small amount, by the way. We were hearing orders of 2 million H200s coming from China to Nvidia. So imagine, I think they've only have 700,000 in storage, or that they can sell at the moment. So that would be 1.3 million that Taiwan Semi would have to produce in 1 year? I don't even think that's possible. So, this whole thing back on again, off again, Obi, yep. It's tough for investors because investors need to be able to project revenue. You can't project revenue if you don't know what the regulatory environment is.
Yeah, no, I think that we've kind of it's almost like beating a dead horse here on this story on Nvidia that we've been talking about all week. And yeah, we had a little bit of a change here earlier this morning. We had the gap up that did come in, but yeah, no, I think you know, sound investors are already kind of positioned for the push, and I think that push is definitely coming in, because like I said yesterday, it's just like, you know, whether one way or another, they're going to get those chips, right? Whether it be through you know, legal routes, or you know, from Singapore here, there, or whatever. And you're saying to me now that they denied.
They're denying
blocking the restrictions. Yeah. So it's just like, okay, cool. Like here's the thing.
What do you do? I mean,
I think this is a clear example of when you should just let the chart and the price action do the talking. Because if they're just going to keep flipping on he says, she says, like, I'm pretty sure astute investors are not really getting shaken out by any of that, right? So I think the bigger picture here is that they're still selling the picks and the shovels for this gold rush. I'm just going to say that again. That's all.
All right, see ya.
Tesla, as we know it, as we were speaking on the show yesterday, the robo-taxi rolled out in Austin, Texas as of yesterday without any human driver or safety supervisor. But shares were up 4.2 on the day at 449.36. But this also highlights that Tesla's progress, while it's notable, it's also not the first mover in fully autonomous ride-hailing as we know it. We have Waymo, we have Baidu Apollo in China. EV sales are also slowing as we know it, and Tesla's valuation has increasingly is hinging on FSD unsupervised and robo-taxi scale as we know it. But also, it's just, I don't know what to say about this, because Tesla, honestly, I have no words. I've just been reading I've been reading updates about the autonomous driving and about the robo-taxi, and it just does not seem like a good idea at this point to roll it without any human interference at the moment or any safety regulations, because Texas is permitting Tesla to do this under a transportation network license, but not in California. So what do you have to say about this?
That's definitely one of the key things there, Sia, is that they don't have the go-ahead from the regulator in California, while they do in Texas. Whether that's politically driven, you know, reasonable people can disagree. But here it is, Assassino. So reason I'm showing you this is because this is the Tesla that she's going to get into there. But as you can see behind is another Model Y. This is the chaser car that we were talking about yesterday. But a lot of people reporting that, you know, the drives were clean, they were good. It was very, very specific. You get in, it doesn't allow you to start moving unless your seatbelt is on. And then somebody was actually sitting in the front seat and tried to mess with the steering wheel in the front. It wouldn't let them adjust the car at all. Of course, people have to do that kind of stuff. So, well, we're probably going to see a lot more of these. Now, the thing is that we're not seeing too many of these. They're mixing a lot of these driverless or unsupervised, let's call that FSD or robo-taxis with supervised. So there still are Model Ys driving around Austin with you know, a safety driver in the front passenger seat, but they're mixing them among the two. So that's my first thing there. Second thing is, one second, I just had that. I had it over here. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Some are mixed with the unsupervised or mixed with the supervised. So let's see how this all works out. But, you know, Obi, this is kind of the first step that we were all waiting for to see whether or not Tesla could deploy in real life. They've got a shot to prove it to us all now. And I'm willing to bet we're probably going to see videos maybe of some hiccups here and there, like we see with Waymo, right? Yeah,
exactly. No, I think these are good steps for the technology going forward. I would love to see more of that. We had a detailed conversation about you know, automated driving vehicles versus human drivers yesterday, and I just cannot wait until a lot of driving is straight up automated, and we're gonna you know, not be dealing with a lot of headaches and even safety measures. Like it's very clear that, yeah, sure, as of right now, there are going to be hiccups. There's going to be, you know, bumps along the way.
Yes, sir.
And those speed bumps will definitely take us to better places because you fix those mistakes over time and you come out with a better product. And that's only going to happen if we continue to make steps like these and take those leaps towards, okay, let's start testing this out in the real world because, you know, it's safe enough to do so.
Right.
And I think this is good. This is good for Tesla. This is not only good for Tesla, just EVs in general. They have literally trailblazed a lot of these policies and exceptions in how do you say, like on the road for governments and you know, different countries accepting automated driving around the world.
I know I want to mention as well, Elon tweeted, I think it was either this morning or yesterday, basically, you know how they've switched to a SaaS model now, so it's $99 a month for FSD. He says it's going to go up as the capabilities of full self-drive goes up. But this gives you the real, you know, possibility that in, you know, the next few months, maybe a year, you wake up and your 14.3 or 14.2 FSD is all of a sudden maybe 15.0 unsupervised. And this is really how it comes down to that, right? It just comes down to a software update with one caveat. You gotta have hardware version 4.0. If you're below 4.0, a lot of the new features may not work. Now, Tesla has been kind of cagey about whether or not upgrades to hardware 3.0 would be available. And if they would they have to be covered by the customer most likely, or would the company cover it under some sort of, you know, upgrade program? So this is, I think, where most people are looking for, you know, the majority of the money to be made for your own car to have unsupervised FSD. It's great to have the robo-taxi. It's fantastic, but it's just like another Uber. Derek, give us your take.
We just got a headline right now for TSLA. Apparently on their website, it's now showing that they're no longer including enhanced autopilot and auto steer for new buyers in the US and Canada. So interesting look there. Now, I want to talk about a Wikipedia page that I found yesterday, and I promise this is relevant. You'll find out why in about 2 seconds. I had no idea anyone made this, but there's a page called, and I quote, List of Predictions for Autonomous Tesla Vehicles by Elon Musk. Now, these go back to 2013, and this column is if they were met or not. But as of 2013, Elon said that they should be able to do 90% of miles driven autonomously within 3 years. That did not happen. That was 10 years ago that headline was, right? Then he also, or not that headline, but when that milestone should have been met, right? Then they say at one point here, we'll be able to achieve true autonomous driving within 10 years. That, you know, didn't happen either. That was as of 2014. So my point here is not to diss Elon. My point is, if we're trying to actually see some of these goals being met, I think that's going to be a really nice change in the tide. But I do think it's also worth noting that Elon Musk does have a propensity for saying things and having timelines that aren't necessarily going to come to pass right away. Now, I don't actually think this is in and of itself a bad thing. I used to think it was kind of unfair or, you know, maybe misleading, but yesterday during Davos, he had a quote that I actually really liked, and he said he'd rather be an optimistic and right than pessimistic and wrong. Now, unfortunately, he has been optimistic and wrong so far on FSD, but as we start to get some of these milestones being met, we literally had Morgan Stanley coming out. They think they're going to have 1,000 robotaxis on the road by the end of the year. So I don't necessarily think this is impossible, and by all means, I'm not trying to bash Elon and hurt his dreams here, but I think it's interesting to kind of look back at the extent of these robotaxi and autonomous driving claims. I do hope we start to see some of those no's become yeses.
Thank you very much. All right, Sia, what is the next topic?
Next up, we have China, and we know that China has intensified its review of Meta Platform's $2 billion acquisition of Manus, the AI startup in the Chinese-founded AI startup. Regulators are basically examining whether the deal has violated a technology export control. And as we know, Manus has been compared to OpenAI and DeepSeek with AI agents that are capable of executing tasks like resume screening, trip planning, all of those things. But the acquisition has just closed a couple weeks ago, making the investigation preliminary and leaving basically no room for China to ultimately take no action. Regulators are focused on whether this technology or user data may have been transferred to a U.S. company. That's the lookout right now. What do you have to say about this, Sharif?
Well, isn't this like the shoes on the other foot now? All of a sudden, China's restricting their technological exports. They don't want anybody to get their hands on it. Yeah, but what ended up happening was I think Manus moved their operations from Beijing. I think, where'd they go? They went Singapore? Where'd they go? Hold on one second here. Logistically, OpenAI, Chinese origin. Sorry, where the hell did they move? Yes, Singapore. They moved from Beijing and Wuhan. Wuhan. In July of last year. They went to Singapore. So I mean, to me, that is, you know, the Chinese basically trying to protect their IP. But like I said, the shoe's on the other foot. The problem is, though, it creates a major problem because all the people have already been paid. Regulators are so hold on. Where's my here it is. Regulators are focused on whether Chinese technology or user data may have been transferred. No, that's not the one I'm looking for. Manus, there it is. Manus backers have already been paid, which would make any unwinding of the deal logistically difficult and politically sensitive, right? And it would also put into question, you know, finality in China. So if you buy a Chinese company or you do business in China, all of a sudden, you know, that could get unwound. That scares capital, right? Money follows the path of least resistance, and that certainly would be not a good look. I don't anticipate that they're going to do this unless it's maybe here, Obi. Let's bring in this possibility. We know that President Trump and President Xi are going to meet one another in China in April. Yeah. And we've seen the posturing, whether it's with Nvidia or whether now Manus and Meta. Yeah, right? I'm the bigger guy.
I have a chair, king of the castle.
There you go. So more political posturing possibly between the two countries.
Yeah, no, I think you know, being a world leader, you have to kind of have some sort of posturing, right? Otherwise, you're not necessarily going to have that kind of reputation anymore. So that posturing is definitely always going to be there. I think that's it's interesting to see some of the craziness that does go on and some of the stuff that's sold to the people. But I think overall, if we're going to get back to Meta here. Again, Meta here is looking pretty strong, right? Looking pretty strong. We had this aggressive sell-off here in March of last year, and we caught that bid, the April bid that I keep talking about. The presidential bid is what I like to call it there. And 480's held like a champ, and we've been holding higher lows and higher highs since then. And we got an aggressive buy today as well, right? On maybe a little bit of relative volume over the past couple of days. So continuation from yesterday. So a bit of a missed trade, and I talked about this one on Meta today. Missed trade for me this morning. This is a flat consolidation yesterday. Strong volume coming in, flat consolidation at the highs there, 647 halves. Look at how that level gets interacted with off of the open here, Sharif. Straight through. So a held offer potentially here going into the end of the day, and that breakout comes in nice and clean, straight through 650. A little bit of chop, maybe a little pullback to 648.95. So that's barely $2 on a $650 stock. So yeah, that was absolutely solid, and we're continuing to see that bid pushing into the end of the day here. Still got a couple hours left until the close, but 665s are the highs. 665.65 just now, 77. So we're printing fresh highs as I speak, as of right now here on Meta. So absolute strength.
Man, let's go Meta. I just want to see 700 sooner rather than later. All right, Sia, what's next?
Next up, we have Microsoft. As we know it, Microsoft 365 was down, was out, and currently it's been, access has been fully restored, as said by the company. It confirmed that the affected infrastructure was returned to a healthy state, and impacted services were including Outlook, Microsoft Defender, and Microsoft Purview. Yeah, what do you have to say about that?
Because Microsoft spends a lot of money on redundancy, and this is one of those ones where it obviously came into play. So they rerouted traffic to alternate infrastructure, but the main part was North America. So money that's spent on redundancy probably, especially as people rely a lot on these services, is money well spent. So that I like that. Obviously, that takes money off the balance sheet and profitability. We know all that, but I think this is one of those areas where it's super important. But this is another thing. I think they had an outage back in July of last year. Let me just double check my notes over here. Let me take a quick look, 'cause I'm pretty sure that was an issue that they had. Well, outage, I'm coming. Okay, I can't find it at the moment, but I'm pretty sure this is not their first outage. And even if it is, we already saw Snowflake and like how the entire internet seemed to collapse under that with X and other websites. So this is just more kind of signs of the growing reliance by people on these services, Obi, and probably money well spent to make sure that the uptime is, more than 99% is probably money well spent.
Yeah. So
Microsoft.
All right, so MSFT. I think, yeah, money well spent, definitely for sure, man. And speaking of money well spent, look at this trend break that we did today. Yeah, 470s on the day, 471s on the day. So definitely solid strength. I was watching this one all morning. There was a strong buyer on board on MSFT this morning that and still continues to be pretty strong and extended on the day. So take a look at this, Sharif. Multi-day selling here, multi-week selling as well. So kind of up here from the 489s. We talk about this consolidation. It's been stepping down after this crazy, I mean, I don't know if you've seen this thing on the weekly. Take a look at this. That's, you know, you want to call it devil's horns, cat ears, whatever you want, double top. A lot of people have different names for this thing, but you can see here that Microsoft had strong sell signals, let's say that, right? So double top there, 550s and some change, and then broke the trend, pulls back into this prior resistance from 2024s and maybe 2023s a little bit here as well. No, it's all from 2024. So that consolidation that we broke out of, and we're pulling back into that range. So I like that. We'll see. I don't know. This is really ominous to me, especially on a weekly. But when, you know what, just go up to a higher time frame. We've seen some action like that before, and on the monthly, we look perfectly fine here, right? Stepping up decently. I think we can definitely pull back into some of this range. And just a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about how, you know, Microsoft keeps stepping up. Yep. It's holding prior structure, holding prior structure, holding prior structure. So as long as that the current sentiment on from Microsoft shareholders still holds, I think this trend is more than poised to continue.
And one thing that I felt was a little unfair to Microsoft was the sell-off was really, really aggressive. And I don't think it was, for foundational reasons. In fact, I think Microsoft is probably one of the few companies that's monetizing immediately their AI CapEx because they're renting it to you through Azure, right? We've seen them include all their Copilot as well as other things that they took from OpenAI for their Azure clients. We're not calling that cloud anymore. I guess we're calling it Neo Cloud now. But you look at Meta, for example, and the huge amount of CapEx that Meta spending, not immediately apparent how they're going to monetize it. Obviously, it has to get monetized either through products or increased revenue for advertising, whereas Microsoft is getting dollars now. So I felt that Microsoft and Google and Amazon, of course, because AWS, those are the people or those are the companies that are going to immediately realize their investments into AI, whereas the other ones, not so much. So I felt like the sell-off was a little unwarranted. And, we'll have to wait, see how it is, but it's well off all-time highs. And I think you were showing that double top as well, that gnarly-looking double top. But that's my little couple of cents. See what's next.
Next is Amazon. Amazon is planning a second round of corporate cuts. It's also, it's a broader plan to reduce almost 30,000 white-collar jobs. It follows the 14,000 cuts that Amazon did make in October, and the layoffs could begin as soon as this week next week and Tuesday. The cuts are expected across AWS, Prime Video, and HR. Important thing to note here is that warehouse and fulfillment workers will largely be unaffected because Amazon's 1.58 million employees sit outside of the corporate roles. And CEO Andy Jassy has repeatedly signaled that Amazon's corporate headcount will continue shrinking over time as the AI adoption will be accelerating. As we all know it, this is going to happen. It's bound to happen. What do you have to say about this?
That's the thing, right? I mean, when we got the announcement of these 30,000 30,000 he wants to reduce, nearly 10% of the corporate workforce. When we talked about that initially, everybody and their mother thought it was AI related. Okay, so the efficiencies are coming in at the white collar corporate level, and here come the job cuts, because we're not seeing the job cuts, by the way, in the warehouses. But then he came out and he really wanted to clarify that. He's like, no, that's not what this is about. We were way too bloated during our expansion during the pandemic, right? We got way too big, and we need to kind of reset and get everything under control from the cost perspective. So it's super easy, I think, to point the finger at AI and be like, oh, the efficiencies are going to cause job losses. Maybe that happens, and probably it does sooner rather than later, but I don't think this is one of those right now. And he wanted to make that point very specifically. So whether you believe him, you think maybe he's trying to cover because he doesn't want to be, that first CEO of a major tech company to be laying people off en masse because of AI. He doesn't want that moniker. He doesn't want that label. That's fair. I think reasonable people can disagree. But if you're looking at what the company is saying, they're not pointing at AI in this specific instance. Obi, thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think in terms of Amazon, again, too big to fail. Too big to fail. They're involved in all sorts of places. So even if they lose certain aspects of their businesses, I think they still have a lot of room to do well. And you know what? Yeah, layoffs will definitely. It's not about if. I think it's more about when. We start seeing some of these robots. Have you seen some of these robots that can kind of pivot at the hip and at the arms as well?
Factory, right?
Like the factory working robots as well.
Seen them.
Like that's like maximum efficiency, right? And over time, if you're running a good business,
now they're saying in the warehouse.
Yeah, they're going to start off with a hybrid model. Yeah, for sure. But I think eventually you're going to get to a point where as a business you want to work on your margins as best as possible. And if a robot is going to cost you, let's say even $1 million once, and then upkeep costs, is that not better than having a lot of hands-on employees? Right.
You're asking from a business sense,
from
right?
a business
yeah, from a societal sense, we're going to obviously have to go through some trouble.
Yeah,
but
I think the world is definitely going to change drastically with the technologies that are coming. How fast and swift it's going to happen, I have no idea.
Yep.
But I think that is the natural progression of things.
I respect that. I agree.
So I think that whether you do it now, whether you do it later, you don't want to be called out as the first one to do it.
Well, that's the
I think
thing, right?
eventually it is bound to happen. It is bound to happen, and it will cause some distress for sure. But humans are very powerful. They will adapt, and they will overcome. So I have no doubt in that either.
I like it. What are we talking about next, Sia?
Next up, we have TikTok. President Donald Trump, U.S. President Donald Trump and TikTok confirmed the formation of a new TikTok USDS joint venture. Adam Presser, TikTok's head of operations, will serve as the CEO of the U.S. venture, while TikTok CEO Shao Chu will sit on the board and assist. The joint venture will operate as an independent entity with 7 board members, all of which are U.S. citizens. ByteDance will also retain a 19.9% stake, which is just under the 20% threshold, which is often cited as U.S. national security concerns. Managing investors will include Silver Lake, MGX, and Oracle. Yep. So TikTok US will also manage key commercial activities that will include e-commerce, advertising, marketing, and this also applies to certain US availability of certain apps, again, like CapCut and Lemon8 as well. What do you have to say about that?
What really caught my attention, Sia, was this part in the green here, Assassino. TikTok's I'll get it. There we go. TikTok's recommendation algorithm will be hosted in Oracle's U.S. data centers, retained and updated, using U.S. data only. This was like one of the major points of contention, right, that we were talking about. TikTok's algorithm is what's most coveted, right? Why does Reels suck, right? Because it doesn't have a good algorithm like TikTok's. TikTok's just seems to understand you a lot better. And so this was the protected IP that, supposedly China would never let anybody get their hands on. But apparently this is now part of the deal. And not only is it going to be actually housed on Oracle servers in California, but it's going to be updated using American user data. So what does that mean? That means that you have to have access to the source code in order to be able to update it. This was a major point of contention. A lot of people thought this was never going to materialize into a deal because of the algorithm. So this is super interesting to me, the fact that they were able to kind of agree to that. Now, President Trump publicly praised the deal, and he thanked Chinese President Xi Jinping, and he claimed approval, but the reports, we always claimed, right? But the reports are suggesting that both governments from the U.S. and America have signed off, on the deal, and it could close as early as next week. Oracle, Obi, it's seen better days.
Oh, for sure it has. And talk about talk about a blow off top here on the monthly chart, man. Absolutely crazy. It went all the way from 135 to 321 within 6 months. Within 6 months. Absolutely crazy. And that's off the April bid, right?
Yep.
And we're pulling back, we're balancing back in. Sure, this trend is still potentially intact, this one right here. But take a look at the downside. I pointed out earlier for a viewer some of the support and resistance levels here. Those still are, I think, pretty, nothing has changed from about an hour ago. But just this simple trend from this low to this low, 2 points in that line. That's if you draw a trend line, I think that's a good one right there. Yeah. If you draw some moving averages, that's going to be in and around somewhere here. Maybe we've broken on this wick, and then we're definitely broken below it here. So how far can we really pull back if we're going to maintain this trend and if we're going to stay seller dominant? That I have down here at 140s. We pointed out the prior support level that really kind of came in and we broke out of multiple times, tested multiple times, is in and around that area as well, 125. So we're currently trading at 177, so that's about $50 away. So in terms of Oracle, yes, sellers have been dominant and they've shown nothing but dominance with increased volume. This is all the selling as a relative volume. Yep. Look at the past couple of years here, Sharif. We have not experienced any sort of that kind of volume on any sort of sell-offs. So is this the end? I don't know, but it's definitely pulling back into some into its trend. So that's what I'm watching here on Oracle.
All right, see ya. What's next?
Adair mentioned yesterday about U.S. President Donald Trump suing JP Morgan over alleged political debanking. He filed a lawsuit against JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon. The suit was filed in Florida State Court and seeks at least $5 billion in civil damages on claims including trade libel and breach of good faith. Let's take a look at what exactly is happening. The lawsuit claims that JP Morgan acted based on political and social motivations, and the suit alleges that JP Morgan placed Trump and affiliated entities on an internal blacklist that was shared among federally regulated banks. What do you have to say about this, guys?
Okay, so this is interesting. So number one, he's claiming political discrimination. He's saying, okay, Jan 6, you guys discriminated against me after that. He needs to prove that. And then there's supposedly this blacklist that exists because there wasn't just his name on it, there were other people's. But to be fair, we did see a lot of debanking take place during the Biden administration. Whether or not it was orchestrated and organized, that seems to be a different story. What's going on over there, Katina, man?
Intel.
The Intel is crashing, guys. 17.5% in negative territory. Then there's the breach of the implied covenant. See, so he was arguing basically that they're breaching their own kind of code of conduct not to debank people in bad faith. They were not acting in good faith. And he's also saying that they violated state laws. So there's this, because it was in Florida, right? There's this law in Florida called the Florida Deceptive Unfair Trade Practices, where you really can't cancel an account for no reason. And then there, he's trying to say the pretext of woke metrics. I don't know how to quantify woke, but basically that's what he's arguing. Now, JP Morgan, they're arguing right back. They're saying, look, we don't debank people for no reason. When they become a regulatory risk, we reassess their accounts, and the ones that we can't stomach in our risk profile, we get rid of them. And then they also said we have the right to defend ourselves, right? So the exact reason here that President Trump is articulating, they have a chance to respond to that. This is a factual matter. And then there's the compliance obligations as well. They're saying that we kind of know your customer laws are often referred to. So, if the customer is acting in a way that is either illegal or politically sensitive, they're apparently allowed to, cancel the contract. And they also say they gave him notice. So apparently state law requires 60 days notice of cancellation, which they did provide him. But I think that the bigger context here was what we saw in the crypto industry specifically and the banking industry during the period of the Biden administration. It's not just President Trump making accusations that he was debanked. A lot of people in crypto were basically saying we can't go to a bank anywhere and get financing. And we know Brian Moynihan as well of Bank of America was accused of this by many different people, President Trump included. So whether or not you believe the allegations of bad faith, that's one thing, but we can't really challenge the facts that a lot of people were debanked or denied banking during that time, because that did happen, and it wasn't just one person saying it. Obi.
Yeah, no, I think this JPM story is going to be very interesting. I thought, come on, Trump. I thought you guys were buddies, Jamie and you. But, it is what it is. Banks have been on an absolute tear. Whether it's American banks or Canadian banks, just in general, some of these banks have been on an absolute tear for the past few years, Sharif. This bid really stepping in on JPM from 2022. But again, bigger picture, stocks only go up, and so does JPM. Just straight up. And this is a monthly chart here. So the question becomes: are we going to take a serious trend break here on the pullback in? Maybe, I don't know. But it seems like these prior bars are starting to get a little tested. We broke that as of today. Yesterday we saw that 303 range break happen while the news came out. That was in and around here. I think I marked some of those levels yesterday, and I was like, okay, well, I want to play this range break off of this catalyst. And guess what? The trade does come in later on in the day and continues going into the next day as well. So yeah, sometimes the trade doesn't have to pan out on my time frame, but the trade does pan out in a bit of a swing overnight off of that catalyst that came in yesterday. So that short is coming in quite nicely. Now also, as I pointed out before, breaking down monthly prior bars, that which we have been holding for many bars on end. So the last time we did that was here on April. April 2025 was the last time we broke that prior month low with any sort of distinction. Wicks right back up. And since then, Sharif, for the past 8 months, each month has been trading not necessarily higher highs, but definitely higher lows.
Oh, yeah.
And as of right now, with only 7 days left in January, we pull back and we start breaking that month low. So interesting stuff. And if that's confluenced with a little bit of shaky news. Is that a bearish
engulfing candle there, or does it?
I don't know what kind of animal is engulfing there, but I do think that price getting violated, which again, it's a break-in pattern, is more along the lines of how I like to see it. It's definitely a break-in pattern if we do close below some of these prior month lows.
All right, Adara, give us your take on JPM.
Yeah, I mean, I have a Truth Social post that I want to talk about, but before, and it is 100% relevant, before I talk about that, I do want to mention the fact that in this Axios article I'm reading about the situation, they say, quote, the lawsuit didn't give any evidence or cite sources for an alleged blacklist. So I'm going to put on my Jack McCoy Law and Order hat, shout out to the best crime show ever, and I'm just going to analyze this and say, you cannot, as that character always said in that show, all I know is what I can prove in court of law. If you do not have any evidence or any sources, I don't really know if you can prove in a court of law that JPM is debanking you. So that, I think, is the first issue, just from a legal perspective. But also, it's interesting because Trump already apparently directed the DOJ to investigate JP Morgan on a whole other set of charges back in November. So this is not the first time. This is not new right now. He's going the lawsuit route. So that's kind of interesting as well. Let's get into the Truth Social post now. So this is kind of interesting because the law, and I've always said this with Trump Truth Social posts, you have to read a little bit to find out what he's actually trying to say, because this is very much baked in a bit of a screed, for lack of a better term, against the Wall Street Journal. But basically this Truth Social post is about how he's upset that the Wall Street Journal said that he offered Jamie Dimon, of course, CEO of JP Morgan Chase, the Fed chair job. And he said, that's so untrue that I'm actually suing him. Which is kind of an odd denial, but that's what happened, right? He was like, yeah, not only am I not offering him the Fed chair position, I'm suing him. Then he some more issues here with the Wall Street Journal, but it's interesting here because this is where he first kind of announces it. I'll be suing JP Morgan Chase over the next 2 weeks for incorrectly and inappropriately debanking me. And then he also, I guess he's upset that the Wall Street Journal didn't ask him about this, but either way, it's kind of interesting that this unassuming Truth Social post is where we first see signs of this potential lawsuit. But long story short, I think this lack of evidence, any suit will probably go Kaputski.
All right, I just want to add one quick thing there. It is completely customary to leave evidence out in the statement of claim or the complaint so that you don't show your hand before trial. Otherwise, your adversary knows how to respond. See ya.
Layoff story, guys. Citigroup is expected to announce another wave of layoffs in March. This planned cuts would follow a recent round of 1,000 job reductions that have already been happening this month. There have been a couple sources that have told Reuters about the layoffs that are likely to be announced after the bonuses are paid, which, as we know, is a common tactic to reduce severance costs and internal disruption. But Citi has declined to comment on this directly for now, on the layoffs as well. The restructuring, as they're saying, is a part of Fraser's broader strategy to exit non-core businesses and improve certain capital efficiency around the bank. What do you have to say about this, guys?
What I don't like right away is the 50% valuation decline that Brex has had since they raised money in 2023. So I believe, let me just double check here. Brex was previously valued at $12.3 billion, I guess during the height of the fintech move. And now they're being bought for $5.15 billion. That is a marked departure from the prior price. So right away, I'm wondering about the sector in general and why Capital One would want to, invest that kind of money in this rather than doing it in-house, because they were already offering the same type of products that this Brex is offering in-house. But they're saying, according to the article, that this will help accelerate that. Well, okay, fantastic. But why couldn't you do it in-house? Why go and ante up $5.15 billion of shareholders' money rather than producing it in-house? So that catches my attention right away. But, there are, obviously they know their business a lot better, Obi. Capital One, I think it's also seeing some better days. It's been dropping lately, hasn't it?
Yeah, what's that in your wallet? Right? Isn't that what the thing was? What's in your wallet? And that's the Capital One ad. Yeah, no, I didn't even know these guys had earnings today. But what a trade, man. How much volume did this do? This is definitely doing some significant relative volume. Yeah, 4 times on the day today relative volume. So 8.9 million shares traded today with only about 4.6 that on the 30-day average. So definitely very much in play on the day today being earnings day one. Take a look at some of this confluence. Opening range low comes in exactly, well, not exactly, in and around the earnings reaction low. We sell off on the initial reaction. We bid back up, make lower highs in the pre-market session. Sure, it might not be doing a lot of volume, but coming in off of the open, we make that range. You see the confluence of the lows, and take a look at the breakdown of 221.60s. That's roughly where that was. 221.60s gives you a low of day of 217.45s, where we start to go a little bit sideways here. Knocking up against 220s, not really getting anywhere as of right now, consolidating near the day lows. So yeah, definitely missed this one on in my book here. Very, very clean opening range break when it does come in, and this is a 15-minute chart. We can just go to I know a lot of people like their 5-minute opening ranges. Same level. It gives you that beautiful consolidation as well, really showing you that we cannot bounce off of this level. And look at that crack, straight clean to the downside. So clean. Solid opportunity on that one, Capital One.
Today's segment is brought to you by electroCore Inc., traded on the Nasdaq under ticker ECOR. electroCore is a commercial stage bioelectronic medicine company using non-invasive neuromodulation to address chronic pain, headache, and wellness conditions. The company recently reported record revenue guided to approximately $30 million for the full year of 2025 and strengthened its balance sheet following the integration of Neurometrics and its Quell platform. With high margin, recurring revenue, growing VA and consumer channels, and a clear path towards improved cash flow, electroCore is positioning itself at the intersection of medical technology and wellness innovation. To learn more, you need to visit them at electrocore.com or follow the company under ticker ECOR. Shout out to electroCore. See ya. What's next?
Next, we're talking about SLM. The private education loan company Sallie Mae has more than doubled its fourth quarter profit, reporting $233.2 million, which is $1.12 per share versus its $111.6 million a year ago, which is a big jump. Results are comfortably beating analysts' expectations that were of $0.88 per share. Also, student loan originations were totaled roughly around $1 billion in Q4, representing a 4% year-over-year growth. Couple things here as well. Net interest income rose to 377.1 million from 362.2 million last year, and net interest margin has expanded to 5.2% compared to a 4.9% a year ago. These are good numbers. What do you have to say?
What I really like, Sia, right away is the provision for credit losses. So this is like the money that the bank or the institution has to tie up it provisionally in case it incurs losses that it didn't plan for. Now, obviously, when you move the money from one side of the balance sheet to the other, it can't be realized as revenue and or profit. So that hurts your fundamentals. It hurts your revenue. So I do like that. And it's also more indicative of the strength of the consumer. If they're not incurring as many losses as they had predicted, bad loans or bad, whatever financing that they offered, that is more signaling you that, the consumer may not be that weak yet. We always look at, delinquencies, 30-day delinquencies for car payments, 30-day delinquencies for credit card payments, and we look at those metrics to see are they on the uptick or the downtick to kind of have a gauge for the economy. So the fact that they did lessen their credit loss provisions, to me, is a good sign for the economy. I'm not really speaking about the company here. Now, when it comes to the company, if this one has been very, very strongly, I know Wayne had a great trade on this one. They're buying back $500 million worth of shares. So that's on top of the $650 million that they had authorized for 2024. So putting money back in the shareholders' pocket, never really a bad thing unless you need the money to expand. I don't think they do.
Yeah, no, definitely always a good sign there. I don't really know too much about this, nor do I have I ever traded this name here. But seems like it's been holding up quite well. Some strong selling here. I guess this was that 08 crash, and they really definitely felt the pain on that one there. But since then, what a recovery we've had. It only took them about 25 years or 20-ish years to do that here and print some highs. So interesting stuff here. But even though through today's earnings, they had earnings today, or last night, we sold off pretty aggressively on that pop up. So initial reaction, nothing really. Pretty much, I call this crumble. So because it looks like cookie crumbles just on the chart there. And since then, strong selling off of the open. So strong spike. So this thing did about 10%. Almost roughly, what is that, to the opening price right there. So 8 to 9%, 10% off of prior day's lows. Yeah, I would definitely sell a little bit as well if the stock I was holding gapped up 10% overnight on some earnings.
People are taking profits quick.
Oh yeah, definitely look at that. I mean, here's the thing: we're kind of holding up above some prior levels here, so that's all I really have to say about this one. Maybe one to continue watching, because bigger picture, it is holding this range much higher after that recovery I just talked about.
All right, we're done the news segment. Thank you very much, Obi. Thank you very much, Sia and Adara, for contributing there. Let's take a look at some of the small cap gappers that are still tradable. I want to say QLCS looking the best of the bunch over here. It did lose the volume weighted average price and stopped me out along the way, but it's quick to recover, trying to knock on the door of $6 again. If we look a little bit further, though, that lower high trend still unbroken, whether or not it is above the volume weighted average price, still up 43%. The one that you guys were asking me about in the chat during the news segment, AUST. This one is on the Amex, and oh boy, did this one lose it in a hurry. And you could kind of gauge that a little bit by that lower high. 2 topping tail candles, both of which caused lower highs. And then you could see that the support had come in at 330. So what I was saying to somebody in the chat while we were doing the news segment was watch out for that 330 to 320 break. And did you get it? It didn't even hold up at 330. So this one is bleeding its own blood right now. Watch for support, though, between 260 to 250. That was the implied balance breakout level. So it could find support there. So AUST still up 40%, but it's certainly seen better days. IRE is him. It has been kind of up, higher lows, higher highs, very little in the way of bamboozlement. When it did bamboozle you, it dropped into the 20 and then caught a bit immediately. So we are, though, finding some resistance at 13. So those who are still holding from the 11s and the 12s, be on the lookout for that, because that lower high trend unbroken for the moment. So those are the only good small cap gappers, I would say, that are still in play. It's that QCLS, IRE, AUST's had better days. RDW, OBNI were involved in this one. Again, you can see it. The lower high trend unbroken. In fact, it feels like it's a downward channel since making that lower high trend. So I would stay away from this unless you're looking to play it as a range or maybe a bounce off VWAP. So RDW only up 10%, and it really kind of showed its hand there, Obe.
Yeah, that BNAI is pushing back through 15, man.
Oh, good call on that. I missed that.
Took me out for a chop there. Was long, was then short, and then